what type of response is going to be given to that area, because that is a standard protocol run by a lot of teams. So we anticipate it here. What is our offensive team going to do in response? Are we going to just be aware, leave someone to lurk, possibly be leaving that to our Cypher to kind of deal with a 2-on-1 type of situation, or is our Cypher going to put up trips and make sure that our team's able to push if we're not going for that A site execution, but we are looking to push towards A site early?
I mean, you said it, Haven's been figured out, and this is why you're already to try and dislodge Fair from this aggressive angle. You mentioned, are they gonna leave a lurk player to contest it? No, they face it head on in the pistol. They deal with that initial duelist, but what's interesting here is that the Omen wasn't playing Garage, wasn't playing towards C. They stacked heavily on towards the A site because that's kind of an expectation, almost like a mutual handshake agreement is pistol rounds, go A.
And we're going to have Momiji doing our initiator, coming in, clears out the angles here outside of sewer, but does not clear chillin' because looking up is not something all of us will be doing. But being down one, St. Clair College is pivoting, opting to actually make some noise here at mid towards B site. You can see where all of the St. Clair players are, sorry, apologies, the Fisher team is actually pushing up towards B site. St. Clair waiting to create an actual wave or a wall to cut them off towards C, but everyone's starting to conglomerate near sewer, and this little bit of noise at B site is pulling our defensive team towards mid.
And they gate crash out and still survive, cause it's been this chaos out in just a pistol round, but it didn't dislodge some of the core players here, like Chillin, who is found to and is looking for more. Unfortunately, Blast, or lurk player, groups up with the remainder, and they still have numbers advantage. Spike recovered, and they are going for that plant, cause like they've been everywhere on this map and finding impact across the board. 4 pieces to seal the deal and get Fisher College, Fisher Navy, the pistol on the board. Timers moving, the players are back and ready to jump into the action, and there's the final buy that we were talking about. Blast and Momiji not forcing up as heavily as the rest of the squad. And again, I think this is because they do want to, again, have that insurance policy of, okay, if we lose all these weapons, we still want some to be able to buy next round. So obviously the heavy buy is to keep things clean, to ensure they can snowball into 3+ rounds, give or take. Let's see if it's as clean as they hope as they waltz onto the B side uncontested. What?
And Chillin with a classic in hand, 32 health remaining, takes down 2 of the players that are pushing onto the undefended B site. Yes, we disengage after taking down 2 of the attackers, but still, finding 2 elims is absolutely massive. Tolio, unfortunately, has to give themselves away, misses on the first attempted shot on that tripwire, gets it on the second. Momiji's chilling outside garage, looking for anyone to cross into their crosshair as they work their way up towards that window. Both of these two, it looks like the Valorant timing will not be happening right now, but the smoke's about to go down, the ruse is going to fade away, and we end up losing Chillin, but Momiji falls thereafter.
All right, so I mean, Fisher, I talked about how hefty this buy was. The fact that SCC, I mentioned it, they didn't have to make too many changes just yet, and this is why. They've recovered every single weapon that was invested by Fisher Navy into this round. They've walked away with the thrifty, and they've walked away with the 1-to-1 tie. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie, going B when you have rifles in hand, a little bold. Like, that is the site that eco demons thrive upon. Like, garage and B site is their playground, and we just saw SCC make monkey bars of Fisher Navy.
It's not just that. I feel like, to further the point here, it was kind of rubbing salt in the wound that Chillin took down 2 of you with a classic, and I think Chillin didn't even buy armor. That's just oof. Okay, go next. Let's not make that mistake again. This just goes to show why SCC deserves our utmost respect. And we're going to try and pull some attention over to B-side, but Sogo, this is what we talked about with that Clove, kind of playing that secondary duelist role, going off on ourselves, being our point for our team to initiate towards this A-site objective as the ruse goes down. And I will point out, our Jet has not been pushing up from SCC over into A main after the first pistol round. So the anticipation is gone for that. Tilo, unfortunately, will get stunned. Hopefully we can hold on to the rest of our team makes it here.
Ooh. This is crisp. You know, the breach is off, stuck here in this corner because of where the stun came from, where the flash came from, when getting forced out by every ounce of utility. Now it's all down to Momiji. Not spotted, but with only a deagle in hand, or a sheriff, I should say, it'll take some effort. Fortunately, it's only the outlaw holding down this angle. It would have to be the flick from Fair to get the job done. Are they going to clear the close corner? Do they have a shorty in hand? They don't. Being but
Oh!
no scope works too. Why not?
No scope, short range, and we get to pick up a free sheriff. I mean, I don't think we need it. I think we already had one.
Had one, yeah.
Yeah, they just gotta go skin shopping. Do you want this or that? Now, SCC. Oh, Fair is going to make the upgrade. We're dropping the Outlaw, and we're going to be
Nice.
picking up the Operator. So now this is where I do think perhaps the conditioning for the last couple rounds that we had of not pushing out of A site and instead being present on B with our team will work in our favor as Jet, because this time they won't expect that we're going to be pushing out of sewer. However, if you're a creature of habit, which I would say everybody is, you know better, and you will always check this area for this Jet.
Well, so far they were worried about the deep lobby garden dart from the Sova. Little jumpy, so you talked about creatures of habit. They were aware, and it doesn't matter. They get clipped regardless. Fair, the opening kill, and now you've got to be extra cautious, right? The cage, just to like spend the mind games of, okay, did we deposit a Cypher lurk? Are we still A? And the answer is they don't know. So Fair, the reposition's clean here, because what utility are you and Huynh gonna address to clear this sightline? Because if you don't do anything here, I think you're gonna find another player down in this situation.
Well, the question is, what do you do with Fair? And you've already lost. So this is the thing that scares, I think, a lot of players, is dealing with an operator with no sort of controller. But Cuz said it's fine, I got it. Goes in with the teleportation after the shot goes through, so that Concuss in conjunction is able to throw a flash, gets the elim, and through the smoke, Truth knows exactly where you are. That's two falling down now for Fisher. It's just back down to Arkeho, pops out of the smoke. There's three angles looking at you, and you will be eliminated. St. Clair is absolutely dominating in these rounds, looking like they're predicting everything left, right, and center. Fisher College, though, I will admit that execution onto A site was beautiful. It was just unfortunate that we no longer had our clove to prevent line of sight for the re-engagement from the defense, and that's why defense came in and reflooded the space so confidently.
I would even call it that. It all really came down to Truth. If you noticed, right, like you mentioned, the site exec was clean. That was because they did a really good job countering the operator and like taking away all of Fair's options, right? The breach utility gate crash and all of that was clean. What really was interesting was Truth was never effectively cleared out, right? Like they were aware they could be there, and I was like questioning, I'm like, wait, Truth, you're not getting the refrag on a Fair, but they calculated inside, okay, what's the trade-off? What's the cost benefit analysis? And they took the time to then wait for the site smoke from Chillin and play around that. Like, yes, there was some RNG, the shot the smoke onto blast, but just sticking around there, and that's what allowed them to have that much space. So then the flood you talked about, Nerdy Bird, could still come in. But regardless, we talked enough about the last round. The timeout is starting to come to a close, right? And Fisher College want to make a change, right? They lost the second round. Now they're starting to lose weapons. The economy is stable for SCC. What are they changing, Nerdy?
Honestly, right now, it's... I'm a little concerned. Okay, the change that I saw, I was a little concerned. I'm like, Momiji, I mean this in the kindest way possible, but the top frag of Cuz isn't even fully buying a weapon, so I don't think we should be buying ARs. I do like the idea of at least half buying if we have enough money to compensate, but we also have our ultimate for our Yordu, so Yordu is likely going to go in. This is a very quick re-equip weapon as well, so when we come out of ultimate, we are going to be able to immediately find eliminations and get this intel for our team. Let's see if we're going to go into the dimensional drift at all as we blind fire into this ruse in the window and actually force that defensive player to disengage and play from the safe distance. But this is where I get concerned. Is the Congo lining through an area when we don't have info regarding where people are? We just know where they're not.
And this is interesting for a few reasons, right? Cuz first gets a frag here. And talked about dimensional drift. Well, now that they have a chance to win this round, that's when they're going to start investing additional resources. I think they were trying to be wary of if Cuz was selling a faker if they were actually there. And I think they found out that they were. A shorty's accurate with him while stunned, but if you're out of bullets, it doesn't matter. We talked about the B site and garage being the playground for ecos, and that's exactly what Fisher College is now utilizing to possibly birth a new opportunity here. And I love this, the additional utility just to delay that reflood in from SCC. Still 5 players alive, 2 super low HP, but this is looking feasible.
We're going to drop the ruse just outside of B, and we're also going to use another blast to just try and keep these defenders off the site. Looks like St. Clair is going to manage to find another elimination. Yeah, and St. Clair, they're opting to run away. So Fisher College taking down 3. Oh! Okay, no, that's our own teammate. I was a little scared for a moment. I was like, hold up, how did we just walk into a crosshair, not get shot at? But we're fully running over towards A site, and you gotta anticipate people standing on the metal beams over there to try and get line of sight. Predicted it. got the crosshair lineup. So we lost a couple I have questions, but that's
50.
okay.
They might have not had a gun. Like, yes, it would have been the same money regardless, since your team won regardless. But if you die, hold door. Anyways, regardless, what's different here is, like I said, the money was stable for SCC following the timeout. So they picked the operator back up, even if they couldn't salvage it. Because with the attack operator, because it's been the main one opening the door of opportunity for Fisher College. So I'm curious to see how the operator is going to fare, especially when looking at the minimap, right? It's on the opposite side of where Fair is opping, so we don't get that duel. We don't get that kind of fair opportunity at a op battle to see who can walk away with the first blood. So it's not really going to be the tip of the spear here on a C entry, which is why I think there's these creative smoke placements. Because again, maybe trying to pull rotations over, maybe do some orb farming. I'm curious to see what's going to happen when the actual site exit comes through, though.
As am I, and you can see that we've not fully committed to the C site here. The two that were lurking towards the B connector, never mind. We actually did successfully pull people over with that utility usage. We might fall into the waiting arms of the Yoru with that operator. We're also going to use the guided salvo over into the B site entry point, and then we're sending even more utility towards A. We're effectively splitting so much attention, but the jump peek from Sogo again gets punished by Fair with this operator, and we immediately hit the Blade Storm, pull out the op, use that updraft, go on top of the box to see if anyone's trying to cut off the other angle, but no one is. They've slowed back down. Fisher College is not going to fall into the trap of trying to engage too quickly off of losing a teammate.
Yeah, and here's that trade-off of your Sova to Tejo, right? There's still a Cypher Trip, or was active on the site before the gate crash comes through. So slow down a little bit on the eggs. That gives a little bit more time for the rotation for SCC to come through here. Yet again, they left the operator on A temporarily, but now that you know the duelist, now that you know that Tejo and Cypher are all here, it's pretty much confirmed, which is why now the Hunter Fury has come out to try and deny the spike tap, but they did just that. Tapped and ran, baited out the ultimate because they had plenty of time here. Now they have their Tejo, but Momiji in the center of firing line deciding to back off. We just play off their team's contact for the trade, but the utility comes in late and it's still just trade for trade, blow for blow. Oh no.
Oh, Armageddon comes through, but it doesn't matter. Fair stands their own ground. It's a triple kill with the Blade Storm, leaves half of the defuse and has the opportunity to swap ops.
It's their op, what do you mean? They don't need to go skin shopping. But again, that kind of felt like a little bit disjointed of a post plan. You talked about the Armageddon, it came in late, so all the players, especially, I should say, Fair, were already in. And you talked about that proactivity, pulling out the Blade Storm, knowing to invest it as well. That was clean too, but really chill in there. At the core of it all, those two players were both blinded or nearsighted there, stuck, corralled on default, and that's what allowed the Blade Storm to have as much of an impact and find both of those kills to crown out the round. So SCC, yes, they lost the follow-up round out of the timeout, but they have since righted their wrongs. They've gotten a really big ticket ultimate out of Fisher College. Looks like they're back to just cruising on their map pick, but Fisher College, you still have the Rolling Thunder, you still have some weapons up in the tank. They've kind of located the operator off of that cam, so now they're pivoting to a different site.
They're pivoting, but Jet can also, of course, pivot through that connector and get over to A Heaven if we want to. Going to send in the stealth drone as well as the concuss. Chillin does, I think, get suppressed and rounds the corner anyway, losing the duel with a Guardian strategy, but the Odin spray gets beat out by that Guardian as well, so Truth will get eliminated. Momiji has fallen. We're in a 3v4 right now. Fisher College still has their Cypher with a sliver of health. We also did hit that Neuro Theft, so we know where everyone's at, but look at this Jet up in Heaven as they're trying to use the shock darts to bait out this breach. Will it happen? Or, yeah, the Rolling Thunder to push him out even further.
I was talking about Fair. Use the Blades from last round. Doesn't have it as an option this time, but if they jump out of Heaven and shorty kill anyways, this is still feasible. 2v2, the Rolling Thunder was respected, but there's still so much time to work with and to win when you're out in the open. What are you thinking? Last player spotted. Sogo cannot get shut down though, even when you have all the information that you need. The 1v2 clutch, 3 kills total on the round, and Fisher College again utilizing ultimates in order to get these rounds off the board. Keep it close here in this first half of Haven.
All right, let's look at the ult economy. We've got the not dead yet currently for Fisher College, and then anything close, the closest next is going to be Cuz with the dimensional drift. But then looking at St. Clair, we do have that Neuro Theft, and we also have the From the Shadows. A great opportunity for Chillin for maybe, you know, gathering information on a retake phase if they need to, if Fisher College manages to get onto a site. But Fair is going to push through towards window and mid, gets concussed, forced to use the Cloud Smoke. Blind Fire while still concussed, gets the trade. Sogo, though, picking up 2 for themselves.
I mean, they're just carrying the momentum of that 3K into the next round. Tillo on an island. The Clove, though, is not dead yet, and Tillo trying to respect the timer, getting out, but full double blinded. It falls to Instinct, who, yes, gets the refrag, so they weren't alive for too much longer, but unfortunately, just the sheer volume of players there in Garage allow Fisher College to walk away with numbers advantage and the C site. That could change, though. Chillin in the 1v3 clutch, almost catching a timing onto Cuz, and they still might. Back turned, it doesn't realize. That's Pixel perfect. Are they going to clear the left side? It doesn't matter. Oh, no!
Cutting through.
That timing needs to be studied.
Not just the timing, but like the series of just unfortunate events that had to occur for both of them to not see each other until the last possible second when the location was revealed with the orb touch is insane.
No, for sure. And now Fisher College, all right? I feel like I would have maybe been taking a timeout this round, because then maybe the next time they take a timeout would be my guess, like a 6-4 perhaps, because look at this, they're by, they lose this round, they're gonna have nothing, and they also have a lot of big ticket ultimates, so this would be your time to maintain that lead. But they're confident in their idea, their play, which was to deposit Chilling down short, and unfortunately this time the lurk has stopped it, and the refrag attempt to pinch that player as well. Blast, who thought they got all the short control under their belt as well, was lost, so now you're down 2 players. That's not the opening we wanted to see.
No, and if you're St. Clair, what do you say? Do you shelve this round? Do you try and just use Rolling Thunder perhaps to re-engage on site and get some eliminations to try and balance things out as far as the economy goes? Or do you ostensibly say, okay, we shelve it and we opt to play very defensively, very passive, hold down where we're currently at unless someone engages on us, and try to play our lives this round?
I think unless you get 2 kills, don't use the Rolling Thunder here. I think there is the idea to save weapons, because like I mentioned, this is their last buy before things get dicey, and Fisher has a chance for a 6th, but looks like they're still just trying to take that latter option. Go for a fight, see if it's winnable here. I mean, look at the rewrap coming through from the Sova. Tello about to clear out window. I think their footsteps have been heard. Blast low HP, really can't take the duel here, but they've definitely calmed it to their team. At this point, if feels like the defense is ironclad. The post plant, the spread of players, the crossfires. At this point, you're trying to get exit frags and not die to bomb. Hold on to these weapons here for SCC. That's why they're in these kind of off positions, like spawn, like garage, towards grass. It's ways you can escape easily and maybe catch some players out on the spike detonation.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is that Tillo, my goodness, Instinct manages to blast down the 2 people that were aware of Tillo's existence over there, because Tillo did take down the tripwire for Cypher from FC. So Instinct actually effectively pulled all the attention away from their teammate who had revealed themselves 45 seconds ago, because they know that there's no way that you've crossed the threshold over towards C-Site. They know you're back towards their spawn. So by Instinct pushing out Garage, getting those 2 eliminations on the people that were looking for SEC Cypher, it was huge. Well, there's saving Sova's life in the process. Absolutely incredible.
And it's still so interesting that St. Clair isn't taking a timeout here, right? They saved those weapons. They lost another round. Fisher College, money strengthening for the remainder of this half, pretty much. Again, this is another spot where, yeah, Tillo could buy next round, but you still have these ultimates you're going to be sitting on. Tillo's off, 1 from the Hunter's Fury 2. Their strategy last round failed immensely, and now the same idea has been thwarted. Yet again, they're just rerunning the same strategy. This time the difference was it wasn't a blast lurk, it was the entire team for Fisher College staring them down with breach utility and all, but all of that was just fake pressure. And this is what I feel like Fisher College has been good at. Again, the mind games, causing hesitation, causing SEC to over-rotate sometimes and under-rotate other times. And this seems to be the latter. Waltzing onto the C side uncontested. That Cypher Cam Garage, gonna spot out the cross at least to confirm, hopefully, the rest of the players to be here. And this could be a good retake opportunity.
And the Hunter's Fury is actually being used by Tillo early to try and cut off the rest of Fisher from getting into the site. We're Rolling Thunder into the objective as well. I think this might be a chance where we start to flood in. We've used that dark cover to force them back into lobby for C-Site. And right now, if you're Fisher College, there is a Sova who's waiting outside in B and possibly might hear you if you rotate too fast. No, they're doing a fast rotation back over towards their spawn. They're going to chill out for a little bit, see if they can bait anyone towards B, towards A, get the pressure away from this garage area and the window because they're looking to go back through there. And SCC is the wiser ones this time. They spread back out into their default positioning and they're just waiting.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty here. 20 seconds, you have to strong hand your way into the B site or fake it and go back C. That's where the stack is here. Yes, you've left Sogo deposited, but the Odin crouch holding a link. This is getting spicier by the second. 10 to go. Player alone, player blinded. Spike, 6-5. You have to stick, and it's just in the nick of time. No, I think they got it. They got it.
Wow.
Yeah, there was like 0.09, I think, left. But regardless, 2v2, how have we come this far in this round?
Well, I gotta say, our breach came in and initiated and executed at the same time for Fisher College. It was absolutely incredible. But now, we used so much of our util that I'm a little bit concerned. It doesn't matter, though. Hayun manages to find one, and then the follow-up kill from Sogo was perfect. And I think that, unfortunately, came down to, honestly, St. Clair made a fatal mistake. We left ourselves in a lot of positions where we had an angle, but we had no one covering our back. And so it was a lot of 1v1s that were given over to Hayun. And Hayun, honestly, is totally chill and confident in those moments. Took down 4 players by themselves that round, I think. So it just goes to show that this is why you don't put yourself in a 1v1 situation if you can avoid it.
Yeah. I mean, I really thought when it was like the timer was so low that they were about to get like meat churned on the B site, but whoever called for that C pivot there, I think really paid off for Fisher College. Like yes, it was still getting dicey, right? Chilling winning out their duel, Spike being that low on time, but I think you mentioned it, right? Just the breach from Fisher holding their own, fighting the CT player and just literally like clockwork getting the Spike down with not even a second to spare is how you win rounds. And you know, I would say disrupt major plays from SCC. Because you mentioned how they were leaving the C side really open. It was for that retake. But there was never a commitment from Fisher, right? And I think that's why we were like sitting at 40 seconds left. SCC's ultimates were drained and everything was reset back to 0 where neither team had lost any players. And I think, yeah, when you're investing in those ultimates, you need to be sure of a commitment. And that's what was lacking, and I'm hoping that's what the coach was bringing up during that timeout. Otherwise, I mean, look at this fragmented buy. They feel like they're just milking what they can out of their economy for these last few rounds. They're going to push it until the envelope here. And I mean, look at this Fisher College. The change up here was to fight C long, and the site for utils on A where Fisher's headed towards.
If we had stuck with the default executions a little bit more for SCC, perhaps they would have predicted this a bit more, but we caught one. We get spotted by the guided Salvos as well. Yes, it is his clone. We hear it dismiss. Instinct is still alone inside heaven, waiting for this ruse to die down, and has disengaged far enough that no one will spot them. We're throwing in the default shock darts onto where the Spike is at. Instinct ends up getting taken out by Cuz, who then teleports back into hell. We're going to put that ruse back up at the connector, so it makes it harder for people to engage. No utility to flush out hell just yet, but we've lost Fair. We've used the dark cover, teleported in, bait and switch. We judged one person, but then it is returned, and we are taken out thereafter.
Tillo, they were one of the players that said did have a weapon and did have money. So maybe you try to hold on to this by your teammates, but Cuz is hunting you down. Remaining players decide to cut their losses. They don't want to spare any additional weapons, and Tillo will get the save that they asked for, as long as they're careful of the timer. And I mean, I was talking about how like this composition forfeiting the Sova didn't have a way to counter Cypher utility, but that round was mastery of how they do it, right? The clone, you know, the salvos, so you can't really get angles on the kill trips, right? So you can shoot them yourself. Like it's very well rounded on the exec. Like they couldn't do anything there to benefit off their util. They had to play full retake with worse weapons, worse utility, and Fisher College, yeah, they're gonna win that sort of situation 9 times out of 10, and they now have won the advantage before the half swap. Up 7-4, SCC can hope for a 7-5 at best, and I mean, then the silver lining's what? It's an attack-sided map, so then you nail it with your comp on the side swap.
Hey, say, my silver lining here is I'm always saying that if you're at least at 4-round wins after the first half, that you've set yourself up to at least have a level of a buffer. That buffer, though, is getting smaller and smaller with every round that you forfeit thereafter. I'm not saying that it's a true forfeit, but every round is definitely important. Mantillo recognizes that, finding Momiji and Cuz, despite the intel having been given over. We do lose Truth thereafter to the Aftershock. The Rolling Thunder goes through. Instinct is still in this corner. The Cyber Cage goes down. They get the trade. Tillo follows up with the team, and that's the team getting eliminated. SEC getting a 5th round win for themselves. Ending out the half 5-7. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there's your really, really late stage adjustment that you were asking for, Nerdy, right? Like, we saw the ineffectiveness of the Cypher utility, right, from Instinct the prior round, how Fisher College was so careful in deconstructing it. So what does Instinct do? Get unpredictable, jump into their own cage on the drop down, have a really uncommon off angle, and find their own kill. But again, Fisher the refrags, and then just, I think that distraction from Instinct is what allowed Tilla to get the 3-piece that they did. We get the 7-5 half, and now everything is a clean slate, right? You win this pistol for SCC, you tie things up 7-7, and maybe that's why we saw the timeout so late. They were maybe just talking about, okay, how do we polish out that half, and have good energy going into the next half where things will matter.
I think that you're right with regards to what occurred during that late timeout, but now this is where the rubber meets the road if you're SCC. How do you win this round out? And anticipating that sneaky spot right there to get the shot down C main as well as into garage was good, but I think we anticipated a little too late. Both our duelists took a little bit of damage, but we've now lost Sogo and we've lost Tillo. They traded each other out because Chillin hopped in and made it a 2v1.
Here we go, the 4v4. What about the agreement to head towards the A side, but when you find kills on both sides, that kind of contract is null and void, so it's just chaos across the board. The B site left almost intentionally open, right? So they can make this trap play, pop out a garage upon the tap, and I was hoping that the players of Instinct and Chilling were in good positions to counter it, but now nothing has been found. The Salvo's shredding, chopping at their heels off the stun that followed suit. Truth now on a solo endeavor trying as well, but they don't realize that, okay, the tripwire didn't have to be broken because Instinct fell. So they are actually 3 strong here towards Grass, and while Fair gets 2 Dominoes knocked down, it doesn't matter. The one standing strong get back to the site for the defuse.
All right, so you know how you made that comment of like B being the site for everyone who's on an eco, like
pistol.
Yeah, I get that this is the pistol round, but it's kind of like it still is like the economy is still pretty, you know, standard across the board. But to that, I also say it just means that B site is still a site that I feel like if you're on pistol, you can confidently say both teams are on equal footing on. And I don't know if I would have gone through a B site execution on the first round.
I mean, I think the execution was fine, right? They thought they identified an opening, but Fisher College felt like they were like steps ahead, right? We saw the counterplay, right? Like it's starting to brew with the group up over towards garage with your site, or sorry, your Yoru down C long deep, just waiting for that cipher to fall, for the trapwire to get broken. And I mean, at this point, they are brimming with confidence here, right? The 3-stack off the salvo, scaling down a long, leaving the players deposited off the fake gate crash, and you got into the B side here yet again if you're SCC, right? You identified that this was a weak point. You've gotten the same result of a spike plant. Let's see how they change what was that really heavy counter retake from Fisher College last round. What did they learn?
Well, I think first thing we learned is to watch out for Sogo, who's going to be pushing out of A main. Look at our Sova posted up. So, like, if Sogo decides to pivot and go towards garage, they're going to be welcome to the waiting arms of that Sova.
Clearing it.
But unfortunately, no, they didn't. What was the
soft-cleared
timing? They soft cleared it. Yeah, but then Truth was waiting on the other side.
Oh. And I mean, look at this. You talked about eco rounds. What was the force up from SCC that's doing work here? Spike diffuser killed, but they don't know that. They have to push in through the ruse, and the players are falling. There's no time left. SCC, for the second half in a row, will win the second round and bounce right back. And I mean, we glossed over the fact that they forced there, right? Like I saw a few stingers, and
I saw bulldogs.
Yeah, like the economy's back square here. A little bit of a hero rifle from Momiji. We're seeing again that mentality, okay, don't buy too heavily on your second round so we can salvage a third. But, whew, SCC, that was, again, you mentioned it, learning about those mistakes, learning, okay, how to counter the players that are trying to filter through spawn unimpeded. They left trusted Tillo there. And the timing was a little interesting, but they got the job done. And now, I mean, it's Nico. It's a free-for-all, right? You had Cuz playing with the idea. Huh? I'm interested how that dart, like, it was in the crevice and not detecting, but regardless, it doesn't matter.
What matters, though, is that SCC has lost their jet. So down goes our duelist now. SCC, we're posted up. We have to now go a little bit slower because our point is missing. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. But Momiji is pushed up here at the entry point of A site from A lobby. Are we gonna get swung on by 3 people? We heard 1 shot, 2 shots. Oh, we don't even trigger discipline it though. You heard 2 different guns and yet you took the first shot when you were in the clear. That's so tragic.
You got a deagle. How many are you gonna find? And you're trusting your teammates on the site as well to close out the even advantage you established. It's all down to Truth. The blinds doing some work here though. Truth trying to navigate the solo fights. They know Cuz is alone. They want to find them before they group up with Blast in the situation. But the side smoke from Sogo, well thought, just buying that additional time for the players to join forces here. But with a Marshall in hand, how much more support are you gonna be when the blind comes through? Fate just trying, hoping they'll make a mistake.
Is timing out.
No way.
We have 18 seconds. We're gonna go. No way. If you hit it, Truth, I will have the utmost respect, but at the same time be very concerned. All right, so I think we pulled out the Rolling Thunder and someone on the team said, oh, heck no. No, which was probably the right call.
I don't know.
But I support ego plays. You heard it here first. That would have been awesome. Still would have been very sad for your team because I probably would have loved to have had that later. It's okay to give up around here and there. I just think we waited a little bit too long to go for the plant fake. You gotta have an understanding of when Ruse is about to time out if you're gonna go for it because of how short it takes to plant that spike. Had we started literally 0.7 seconds earlier, we could have gotten it down.
Yeah, I think they were trying to bait out the information of if both players were short, right, off of that flash. That's why it didn't swing through. And then once they didn't get that information, they're like, okay, well, time's dwindling. I gotta go for the plant. And honestly, I agree with you. I wanted to see the Rolling Thunder get popped there, right? Like we talked about, okay, you can lose rounds here and there, but you're in the weeds of a comeback. Fisher College now has full weapons. They're on the brink of double digits here, right? Like, if you lose this round and use the Rolling Thunder, then again, it doesn't matter.
To that, I would have said, see, this is why we trusted Truth with the Rolling Thunder, but we're point flashing in. We're gonna hit another one over Tetris. Blast is inside of the dark cover here at connector from C site towards the spawn. Location from Truth is revealed. In comes Armageddon. Will anyone fall immediately from it? I've seen a lot of success from these Fisher players when it comes to using Armageddon to find the elims. No one ends up getting eliminated out the gate. We see the teleportation go through. Yoru's in, Yoru goes down, and it's going to be Blast, Fair, Yoon, Truth, all finding elims. The trades back and forth leave us in a 2v2, but we have one player who has a sliver of health, and they get flicked on immediately, battling it out at Tetris, and we end up falling to Sogo. That's going to be FC taking another round.
There it is, the 10th round for Fisher Navy in this back and forth affair. And while the post point was starting to look clean, right? Chillin getting the timing on the gate crash, on the flash, and Chillin again, their classic mechanics are like on a whole nother level. Like the rapid fire shots, like one after another from Cuz to Blast. Like fortunately Blast doesn't fall there. But again, also just the offsite utility usage from Blaster was really, really clean. Like they're having impact while also playing their life here, which is really hard to do when you're like poised for a retake like that. So Armageddon again, the major disruption. SCC saved that ult we mentioned, that pivotal, that treasure of Truth with the Rolling Thunder. But now, weapons, gotta go for it. Looks like they're trying to delay any A main space being taken by the squad. That's what the D4 smoke is for. Momiji, though, going with the idea of re-clearing it regardless with the drone. We'll see what it spots.
Locating target.
Yep, in goes the stealth drone. We're gonna go cut through.
Drone is down.
And it does get spotted out. We know Omen's there, but we don't know that Jet is also on the other side as well, waiting for you to push forward and get a little overzealous. Pop swing together. Momiji gets out scot-free. Not a scratch on Tejo's head. Fair and company disengaging towards window to B main. Let's see if there's any sort of pivoting. Yes! Fisher College believes that the disengagement's true, is opting to go towards B site, which has been where SCC has favored a bit more, and is engaging onto using that initiator utility, trying to force the... Oh my my goodness, giving our life points for the cause. Our Omen takes a disgusting amount of damage. No, actually, only takes like 25% damage, but in comes the Rolling Thunder from our offense to try and clear out the connector.
No one pushes in off of it, right? Truth would with the idea, but they were alone. So really, the repercussions come from your Jet, who was posed up top, and it still doesn't matter. So goes back from the dead. Tillo's position known. Chillins as well off of that Cypher. It's all down to the one-way. We just had the biggest impact of everything that's happened this round. You can't stick the spike. You gotta take the double swing, and there's two players lined up ready to drill you down. And while everything seemed to be going awry for Fisher, I mean, from St. Clair, two players step forward. Fair for their two-piece, Chillin for theirs, and suddenly we are again back to who is going to finally close out this series. 3 to go. The econ shattered for Fisher. In this situation, this is where we've seen Fisher somehow still salvage rounds, Nerdy. So, if you're SCC, what do you do to avoid that?
Okay, first and foremost, I just need to throw this one out there. That Rolling Thunder from Truth, I questioned heavily, but somehow it bought Fair enough time to get posted and set up to get a double kill and get enough damage onto a third for an easy follow-up by a teammate. I honestly think keeping Fair alive is our name of the game right now. Keep Fair alive and facilitate the engagement for our duelists. Be aware that Cuz likes to go on these solo adventures. Shut that down, immediately pivot, and be with the rest of your team after cleaning it up.
Well, Nico, and I said you've got to be careful, and that is why. Because she'll be able to get a weapon and get out, gate crash or not. They fake the runaway, still hold the angle. In the meantime, though, with this mid space being occupied, they've had an opening over towards A. I'm expecting the breach to grab Spike and accompany the rest of their team, but they're trying to clear out short first. Mamiji.
Oh,
the Bucky dropped by the blades, and now you can fair it in return. DP, they're setting up deep lines. I like this.
I like how they're pushing into sight, clearing the space out, putting a wall forward, saying you shall not pass to the side of Fisher College. They're going to come in off the Rolling Thunder, but we get one. We use the Tailwind to make it out alive, and because we took out Cuz, we know that that is a fake. We saw the Clove. Clove tries to go to heaven. They weren't prepared for Chillin to be there. We go for the pinch play. You have one area left to go, and that is to go up towards the heavens. And unfortunately for Fisher College right now, it is just Cypher left standing.
Oh, and I would have pros don't fake it now. I mean, ankle's broken. It doesn't matter. That Bucky was more lethal than the Bladestorm, and they picked that off of Mamiji when they cleared them out of short. Like, okay, if Mamiji does not have a Bucky there, Fair does not get any kills CT. Like,
most
literally.
definitely.
Like, that is insane to think about. That, like, that round felt like it should have been so in Fisher's grasp, right? Like, they had the Rolling Thunder going for the retake. Majority of the players stunned. And I mean, you had the hero rifle for Cuz as well, who was that main player re-entering off of the Rolling Thunder. Now, I'm not sure if they got hit by the stun. I don't think they did, because kind of had this jump when they were going through the smoke. But regardless, like, that Bucky, yeah, this is a great time to take a timeout, because that's a run that, in my mind, should have been theirs. Should have been another Thrifty. We talked about SCC, you know, how they could circumvent that kind of occurrence. I don't say they got lucky, but they kind of did with Fair. And that's where this timeout comes, right? Now you have to figure out, okay, we have rifles, lose this, and we're suddenly tied. So how do we make them count?
Okay, so I just need to lean into the fact that you're right. We kind of handed over eliminations to Fair, and it leans into what I said earlier, which is facilitate Fair. So unfortunately, Fisher, you did what I asked for SEC to do. But if you're Fisher College at this moment, we're at our last round bye. We already have double digits is the thing that I really want to press into now. I've said it before in the past, and that is the idea that the team that gets double digits is the one I favor more to be the victor of that map. With Fisher doing that, they should ostensibly be the ones that are going to be successful. I think here might not have been a force round. It should have been a save.
There we go. Finally, this aggressive A main play works out for Fisher College, and hopefully they're not flying too close to the sun. I saw the repeat idea from Cuz. Chillin as well. Ripped from the shadows amongst the chaos, and unfortunately, right, when your team was headed towards A, it's pretty common where you're going to be ulting from, and dogs are starting to sniff you out, spotting out for you here, and you know your Cypher, sorry, your Omen needs help here, Chillin. Unfortunately, while the players are trying to regroup, it just doesn't matter. A mass rotation from Navy, the commitment to the A site leaves remaining to Truth, Tillo with pieces to pick up. A 2v4.
if you're SCC right now and you're aware that Fisher College has forced these weapons, I think it's a little bit of a tragedy that we have come to the situation where we're in a 2v4, but I think you want to be looking to take down the initiator of Tejo to try and just make it that much harder for Fisher to full buy next round. So going for this plant and trying to bait them into the site might be the best idea that they can have for B site, being where they found a lot of success and a lot of eliminations. And they're even going to post up where they think Fisher is coming from, which is towards that A site connector.
I mean, the recon bolt didn't see anything, so I like the idea now to kind of push through and clear this space. I question them splitting up, but I think it's going to give them a lot of information in return, right? Tilla might even be able to pinch as well. If Truth gets the stun back online, it could buy just enough time. With leaving a player window, that's not the case, and it's actually Fisher College who does the pinching with the singular player, Blast, who was still a main. And Fisher College, out of their timeout now, 2 for 2 on round conversions, and I don't want to say that's a make or break one, but it felt, again, pivotal in them starting to maybe steal away the St. Clair Saints map pick here on Haven.
All right, I'm looking at the 2 players that did end up getting eliminated for Fisher College during that last round. They are going to be able to confidently full buy, but we do have 2 people that are going to be a little worse for wear if this round goes awry. The thing I want to look at the most, though, is because with this dimensional drift, are we going to use it as effectively as we have thus far, or are we going to try and shift a little bit instead of being with our team, go a little bit further and go try and be more of a distraction element and get eliminations to pull attention and let our team execute onto another site, knowing that odds are we'll find 1 or 2 elims but end up trading out ourselves in the process.
Oh. Well, kind of fairly won that garage space, but never got rid of the trap wire, so still kind of back to square one for SCC. Plenty of time to work with, though. At this point, like, I feel like Navy might identify, like, okay, when all this is filling for SCC, they kind of gravitate to this B site. But this is what the difference is. Fair, the attack operator, the novelty factor shines, and they get 2. What's interesting here is I talked about that magnetic pull to the B site. Well, SCC used it against Fisher Navy, right? They talked about that trap play they would set up to kind of rewrap through garage. Well, they fought into garage as they were maintaining that B pressure. And so now they've literally whittled away the players here for Fisher, and only 2 remain for this retake. Are they saving? They're saving, too.
I think they have to. They have to go pick up some of the weapons from their fallen teammates. Yeah, they have. And make sure that they have the highest weapon gear they can and save. Because I said it, you can see here, Momiji and Blast both dangerously low as far as their economy goes at the end of this round, as well as Hyun having just about 1,000 in the bank currently. So the true safe option is to make sure we can buy next.
Oh. And I mean, SCC right there, we're not out of the economic deficit either, so they're not even taking the chance on hunting these players down. Just keep it safe, keep it flawless here. And again, it feels like neither team can quite break through in terms of SCC catching up, in terms of FC pulling ahead. And I feel like it's going to come down to the next big ultimate round for who is going to win this map, right? Tillo, 2 off from Hunter Shiri, 1 off from the Armageddon here. This could be that round if they invest 2 to 3 ultimates per team.
This just goes to show how important economy is, though. When you buy improperly, it creates a systemic problem where we're constantly at this, okay, how much can we buy? How much do we have to save? Can we go for the exit frags? Do we have to stay alive? And I think it's put Fisher in a little bit of a rough spot if SC wins this round.
Well, they got what they wanted in terms of the A main space. That orb for the Armageddon. Ult online. Now you have a really strong retake, right? Use a dimensional drift to guide the Armageddon so you know where it can find the most impact. That's similar to what they did off of the spy cam actually on the C retake. Aside from that, though, it's been this slow approach from SCC, right? In terms of taking B space, baiting the rotations, and some of the kind of proactive counters that Fisher sets up and then breaking them apart. That's exactly what's happening here yet again. You bait them into thinking Fair's alone with the op, and then you collapse inward upon them.
Oh, speaking of collapsing, Cuz just got collapsed upon by Truth, and one other person was actually waiting on the other side of that smoke anyway. But Momiji dodges the bullets, is going to send in those guided salvos again. We do have the Armageddon. Doubt it's going to be used right now. If you're FC, I think tragically, because we've got a Guardian in hand and a Vandal, we need to play for these exit frags. We need to make the economy for SEC for as much as possible and keep ourselves alive. So that means dual swinging, going together. This is perfect, but we can't lose sight on these entry points. And Tillo takes advantage of the split attention and kills both of the FC players that were left standing.
Yeah, I think what FC wanted to do was upgrade the Guardian and then get out. So, like, maybe a little tunnel vision did on that weapon that was dropped. Like you mentioned, losing sight of garage window. And that's the repercussions. A full eco now for Fisher College coming through. I love this play as well. Fair. You know, you think they're going to have the operator here, right? They've had it the last 2 rounds. Now what they're going to do, I was going to say, oh, come on. You're making me a liar. I thought it was going to be like a death ball into the C site out of, like, never having happened. Instead, though, maybe look for a kill first, but...
Ooh.
I mean, it's an eco round.
Look at these.
Name of the game.
Yeah, the dual pointed setups that are occurring out inside garage, pushing out towards B. They actually, if the timing is perfect from Cuz here to go towards window, they might actually find out where almost all of the players currently are for St. Clair, which would be huge. Cuz has dodged at least a bit of pot shots, but hasn't given themselves away. If we play patiently, could be huge. We end up using that the fake teleport, trying to buy some attention, but I don't think it was in earshot of anybody from St. Clair.
Well, this is an interesting setup here, cuz on Nihil the Mohawk spotted. No gate crash to bail yourself out either, so tuck your tail between your legs, try to get out off the cage from your teammate. The timing, not procced. Escape, fruitless. And now, you're down your duelist, you're down your dimensional drift. Now they've thought, okay, they got the kill B. They thought maybe they'd make a pivot to A. They gamble towards that site, and it's an incorrect call. Here comes the CECC. You'll know off the site for you kill at a minimum here. But again, 4 players without weapons on a retake. I think you just save the Armageddon and play for OT.
I think you save the Armageddon, and I think you play... Yeah, unfortunately, you got to play for that the 12-12 here and push it then, because if we lose, I think all of our players here, or if we lose all of our guns, we're going to be extremely broke looking at Fisher College, because this would make a 3rd round loss for them.
They're on a save. So they want to Dino Bomb here, or just take some weapons off of SCC. And Sogo's done that, right? Guardian in hand, finds the first. Fair, unfortunately, found 2 in their dying wake of the aftershock. And at this point, yeah, they're just staying backside. Don't want to give an orb to your Cypher or your Omen. Don't want to give them any additional tools. And bro, well, now you just had Sogo.
Oh, and they gave one to Instinct as well. It's very interesting. One thing I want to point out between the dynamic that's presented itself between Blast as well as Instinct is that Instinct and Blast are the 2, I think, extremes of how I've seen Cypher players play, which is Instinct is the I'm here, look at where I'm at, I'm Cypher and I know you want to kill me gameplay, the very forward pushed up one that is willing to put themselves in hot water for their teammates, whereas we have Blast, who's this very calculated and waiting and trap playing type of Cypher. Both work very well, but it's interesting to see how both of them have an equal level of impact for both their teams.
Now this is the grand finale of Ultimates, right? Hunter Fury to set up the trap play into grass, and Fisher College fighting off of it beautifully with the dimensional drift, full blind. It doesn't matter. Tillo supporting, keeping Blast alive in these situations, or Instinct alive in these situations. Oh, but the fight that happened to Amy slips through. Oh. No way, not Tillo doing it again. Yeah.
Look, it almost worked out. Instinct did the look at me. I'm here getting info for Tillo. Tillo got the trade, but I mean, it was a 1v3, unfortunately.
Yeah, difficult. And here we go, SCC, the last time out, might as well. That's been kind of the difference between these 2 squads as well. Fisher College very proactive on the timeouts before things get out of hand. SCC does it like the last possible opportunity as possible, right? Like SCC doing it right before overtime. SCC did it right before the side swap to get that 7-5 half. And I mean, both of them, if you think about it, have worked out to a degree so far if SCC gets it to overtime, right? Yeah. If they don't, then Fisher triumph in more ways than one, stealing away even SCC's map pick here. And look at this. They utilized nothing in terms of ultimates minus the dimensional drift, right? Versus we utilized that big Hunter's Fury in the last round for SCC. So I don't know. This is looking like it could be just a little 13-11. I mean, look at the economy as well. I mean, Fisher College. Maybe, yeah, Momiji buys Blast here. Wynn's kind of the only odd one out here. Like, maybe Blast can buy them a Bulldog or a Guardian. But, I really can't call this. SCC, that economy from the 3 rounds won is just carrying them right now.
It is, but Chillin, unfortunately, is a little bit broker than the rest of the squad. Instinct, yeah. Instinct is definitely got a lot of money right now, and hopefully no one is without their utility at this moment. That's all I gotta say, as we're going into what could lead us into overtime. I'm interested to see how we have Armageddon in conjunction with, perhaps we get a kill, we instigate Armageddon, and then we hit that Neuro Theft to see where people are at as Armageddon's going off, and we engage as Clove to use Not Dead Yet to get the trade and probably get another kill. I'm just theory crafting because there's so many ults on the board right now.
Oh, fair. There's so many possibilities here. I mean, but again, the one tendency that shines through for Fisher is this proactive approach, right? Take deep a main space, hold it, try to get a more complex flank if they do go towards the C side. But I do see out of all this chaos and aggression, they still are playing for a C retake here, right? Like, look at how deep your Cypher is off of this C site. Like, that's how what they're gonna play with the Armageddon with the Neural Theft here. And I think it's gonna work out. Unless, that also helps, right? Now look, that's 1 ult down for SCC. Oh, and you see this is early. I didn't expect this.
Oh, yeah. Armageddon, but then see, Sogo's already forced to hit that Not Dead Yet. Looking to kill Instinct, most likely chillin', vibing in a corner, tucked away with the shorty, waiting to get an elimination. Instinct gets one. Gets Cuz, despite being completely blinded, is aware there's one more. The timing was impeccable from Instinct, and the pre-firing onto Blast was huge. Don't know if we knew there'd be another there, but the blind swinging currently onto Hayun. I mentioned it during like round 3. Hayun thrives in the 1v1s, and to keep themselves safe, will hit the Rolling Thunder to allow Momiji to have less attention on themselves as they engage onto C site.
Target down.
Oh, and there's no way that Momiji wins this 1v2. Clutch! Fair, there, and ready to send this to overtime. 12-12. And all of that work rushed away. And it all comes down to the possibly next 3 or more rounds. Or 2 or more, I should say. And I mean, now though, that economy differential that we talked about is moot, right? Same with the ultimates. It'll take individual performance and orb management if they want any ults here. Fair with the operator on the defensive half, though, I do like. That was when they were the most successful, I think, here in that first half for the 7-5 that they found, or 5-7 they found. And aside from that, I think it's really going to be who can win the defensive round first.
I have 2 schools of thought happening on how this will shake out. It is Fair is facilitated very heavily by their team, or Hayun gets as many 1v1s as Hayun wants this for the last couple rounds, and that's going to determine how this game goes. Now, Fair, very forward, but this is a spot we've seen Fair in a few times, and honestly, FC, our Cypher, using these cyber cages to try and bait out these shots early has worked in the past, but I don't know if it'll work this time, and we actually get to clear into sewer scot-free because of no one opting to fire.
Well, look at how worried they are about Cuz selling another C fake. 3 players clearing out the clone in garage. And now look at this, they're gonna put themselves, insert themselves right back in with the same exact gate crash fake. They want to keep these players on C so that this Cypher and this Clove are free to walk up A. And this time, St. Clair is having none of it.
Yeah, they're not falling for it at all. I mean, we still have our Sova here. He's backing up a little bit, but he's not rotating as quickly as we have in the past. And then Fair is here, gives the warning shot after seeing multiple, I think, sets of feet come through. Is telling their team, hey, I gotta back off. We see the dark cover come through to try and make this easier on Fair. Comes in the guided Salvos to try and also force Fair out of position. Same with that aftershock.
Ooh.
Fault line goes through. It's good on 1. The paranoia hits onto our Yoru. This could be massive for a retake for SCC. That's 3 down already.
This side smoke is like the best thing to ever exist. Like no one can convince me otherwise, right? Like it takes the idea, like, you know, on Split where they're like, oh, this Sage Wall's terrible. It allows them to retake so easily backside space. That's what that side smoke does. It allows these players to just be in a position so as soon as it drops, they collapse in on the default. Like before Spike is even getting planted. And SCC, after being down the entire game essentially, right? Like is finally back in the lead. 13-12, one more round. I did say it was the defensive half who won it first that would matter. And maybe they're flipping it, bro.
They might be. I mean, Sogo finding Fair early for taking down SEC's top frag. Yeah, I think that's might spell disaster here for St. Clair on their offensive round. We'll have to wait and see. Well, Cuz just kind of solidified my thoughts on this matter. This is definitely going to be a lot harder for St. Clair. I think this round's going to Fisher College, and if that's the case, I need to know what's going to happen in the next round because it's putting us at 13-13, so it leads us into double overtime.
I mean, don't count your eggs until they hatch. It's still a 3v5. Clutch Master Tillo alive, chillin' alive, who's been insane. Surprising in multiple situations. Beautiful dart breaks up the crossfire, cuz no gate crash to get out. That's one down.
All right.
One away from tying it.
It's one down, but I'm staring at the roster of who's still alive, and I see Hayun's still alive for Fisher College, and that's where I get scared. We have seen that player decimate the entire roster almost themselves. So with that in mind, things are going to get a little interesting here. We're still in a 1v3, but we've inserted ourselves into C site. We're going to gain some space. The crossfire, the return fire has occurred. We know at least one person is located if you're Fisher College currently. We've put the smoke up. We're trying to bait them into areas that are in our favor. We get a little forward for Tillo, but we find the one limp back off, and we leave Chillin there to get a lot of damage out of Hayun.
And a play from Momiji spotted somehow. The Rolling Thunder online, you mentioned the other breach being the it factor, but look, both players 1 HP. Truth also low, but it's all down to Sogo, and through the wall bangs, SCC rises above 14-12. They avoid disaster and lock in their map pick.
I mean, I'm going to lean into the idea that they are extremely prepared because of the type of, like I said, if you pick a risky comp, one that relies on having these lineups in conjunction with one another, if the theory holds of what we're thinking of here with how they want to execute on these defensive retakes and on the offensive takes, you need to be practiced. You can't have not just been like, I know in theory how to do it, but actually executing it is not something I've done yet. So I'm going to trust the process and say it's been done, but Cuz has shut down Fair, our top fragger coming down already for SCC, and then takes down the Tejo as well. Tillo will fall, and Instinct right there after. FCC is just pushing forward, clicking head after head. There's 2 left standing, our Harbor and our Omen.
Are they still out of my strat bug? This is like my eco strat, is to go mid vents and then like usually take security space. They stop at heaven though. So now the last 2 players for St. Clair Saints here trying to take out these players heaven, but with so many players there, and Cuz on a 4-piece tear for the pistol. I don't want that to set the tone for the rest of this map because it's just a pistol round, but man, that's a statement way to launch into a map after you just lost the first.
Oh, I mean, it was a very statement first pistol round for SCC as well, I feel like, on Haven, so perhaps it does set the tempo very early. And look at these confident buys coming through, as we got double Bulldogs, double Vandals, so we know that those 2 are going to be we're going to have duos of a Bulldog and a Vandal within relative range of one another, and then we have Blast, unfortunately, having to be the person to buy all the utility and have a Ghost. Hopefully you get to pick up a weapon from one of your teammates if they fall with it, so that we don't waste any of our economy this round.
Mid-fight, pretty stock standard for an eco round, and that's the benefit of your Harbor, and that's how I wanted the Harbor played, right? It allows you to scale up and take this space. I was gonna say more so on the attack, but they did it on the defense as well. So they already fixed the fact that Fair was alone last time they were trying to fight down deeper mid. That's great, that's a gun down, but like you mentioned, it's one for Blast to easily recover. So they're still just as strong minus the additional player, and I like this. Really effective re-clear off the Vice utility, you recall the Arcros and suddenly you're set. But this is the difficulty, the consistent cycling of Harbor utility, and all that space you cleared, suddenly it's blocked back off, suddenly another player, like Chilling, could be holding top mid again.
And we've seen Chilling take down multiple players with the classic in hand. Fair inside vents needs to be careful because they are going to get pinched if they're not paying attention, because we did take down that door. They're coming in on the left. Will the Valorant timing favor Fair this time? It will not. It's going to favor Momiji, and Blast also took down Chilling. So FC, 3 players left standing, still is going to be able to hang on to their weaponry. Hopefully we see, oh, it's 2 Bulldogs and a Vandal, so that means we've lost 1 Vandal, but by and large, they're being successful here. It is just the Tejo left standing. Theoretically, this goes in Fisher College's favor.
Oh. I mean, yeah, as soon as you make contact, if you could even make contact with the Thorns procced, the other would probably go up the rope here. I mean, look at this. It's kind of like you can't do anything, right? You move through the Thorns, you're moving into the shock dart. Like, now you got Sogo scaling up behind you, and I'm trying to figure out where they lost that Vandal to. Maybe the Void. Nope, they got it back. We're good. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure it was recoverable. They were just waiting until the round ended. So SC, like, they lost 1 rifle, but they kept it clean otherwise. So still really strong attempt at a 3rd round conversion here for Fisher Navy. A standard buyout from SCC, though. What I saw from that round from SCC was promise, right? Really nice mid-space take, really good opening kill. Like, you're not gonna be able to get away with that every single round, but it shows, like, the building complexities now behind set plays on this composition, and we'll have to see if they continue as Fisher College this time do something different and go towards the B site off rip.
All right, Chillin's put up the shadows. We hear the gate crash go through. The tailwind is good. We survived the shots from Chillin. Sogo has fallen. Hayun has fallen. But, I mean, Momiji will get the clear out and take care of one. Cuz falls to Fair. We use the flash behind us to clear out the angle. No one's there. Our smokes have died down over on B side, and we should see that there's no one, at least as far as B main goes, and Instinct manages to figure out there's people in mid, loses the duel with Blast. Blast is aware there's also someone trying to pivot out towards mid again, disengages, and now I think it's going to be a full pivot, flood onto A side as quickly as possible for our offensive players here and lock it down, get the spike down, and maybe post up in heaven to lock that angle. Oh, and we are actually predicting the perfect rotation coming out from SEC currently. Momiji's going to be in a 2v1, but if we can time it, yes, we can get a 1v1 first.
Now it's a very similar position that they know how to play. This feels like a good set play from Fisher, right? The Thorns come in, the shock dart. This time it's broken, though, effectively by Fair. And pros don't fake?
No, they don't fake. You hold it.
No way.
Fair. Yes. No. Oh, man. All right. Well,
Oh, no! Oh, no! That's an insane shot through the jump peak of Momiji. The shock dart narrowly clipping the edge, and when they were literally 5 HP, and somehow Fair pulls it back from really the jaws of defeat, because that was the bonus for Fisher. I mean, yes, it was a strong one with 2 Vandals and the Bulldog, but still, at least, I mean, are gonna have another bye, have the first round on the board.
that was insane.
So,
that is all I have to say. That was absolutely incredible. So the fact that that actually worked out in their favor was huge.
no, for sure. And now, I mean, I can't even, like, tell what went wrong, because it was just effective trades from both sides. And Momiji, the proactivity was nice, but the idea to reposition the remain there just took so much time that it was difficult there for, you know, Blast to play out the remainder of the round. But this is interesting. Instinct, aggressive hold here. While their wall is more for, like, the default plant location, not the choke point entry point for A. So maybe trying to hurl the players towards bridge, but all this utility more just a fake out over towards A. The Vice set up towards B. The sheer wall indicating that they want to end towards this side of the map, and Chillin has rotated off just before it crowns. Oh, they're gonna find out now. Dimensional drift.
Oh, yeah, Fair with this dimensional drift picks up 1, picks up 2, finds the 3rd, looking for the 4th. Will we find them? Yes, we do.
Oh my goodness. You should not be alive. It doesn't matter. Your teammates are there to support from below, and alright, it's all down to your A side defender, Instinct on the rotate, the 1v4. And I mean, I like how the dimensional drift was played out. It felt like maybe it came a second too late, like they already knew they were about to like pounce on the B site. And unfortunately, they don't get the kill onto Blast, but they didn't really find much utility then, not much kill action. It's just sometimes FPS isn't an FPS, and they didn't hit their shots, and this is the repercussions. Instinct falls because who had popped the Blade Storm, so that's a nice benefit here. But at this point, SCC, they forced into that round, can't buy here. It's another opportunity for Fisher to start developing that round advantage.
Looking at Fisher right now, we also have this Hunter's Fury online, which typically we do see a lot of teams use it as post-plant utility, but Fisher likes to use it on engagement to force people into traps, to force them out of areas that are a little bit harder to hold on to, well, a little bit harder to clear out. So Fisher College, if they struggle with clearing any angles, actually has the perfect response for a few rounds here if they think there's going to be someone there, as long as they hang on to this Hunter's Fury. As we see Chillin hippity-hoppity off of the property and make it out alive with just a little bit of health being chipped away, but we have lost Momiji, so there goes that angle clearing potential I talked about earlier.
Well, you don't need to clear the angles if you have already a flank brewing. Pillow. Seemingly untracked here, no sheer wall active either, so nothing to worry about in that regard. You do have your Vice at least holding now the window angle, jiggling it for info. Pillow. Looking dormant here. Maybe just hoping someone tries to re-clear or go mid-late, or maybe it's a tech pause issue. We'll have to wait and see. There they go. Now the speed up. What the timing from the arc rose? They probably expected that site, though, not flank. So really no information garnered. They're still scaling forward. They have to have been heard. And the high tied up, this could be a good stick opportunity. If Tillo can buy time, but they can do better than that. They can find the ending kill. And SCC bounce back on a Thrifty. They're hunting for guns first.
Yeah, they want to pick up these guns because it is a Thrifty. They can at least have two of them that don't need to buy, and hopefully, yeah, they should be fine. There shouldn't be any... Did we mistime that?
Guys? There was a gun next to the bomb! Next to the spike!
I have no words. I'm just gonna leave it at that. No words. Yeah, chillin', I feel that.
Not saying this half's gonna end like in any universe as an 11-1, but if it did, I'd be looking at that round. like, okay, that was supposed to be your comeback. Now look at the money for SCC, right? Like, that should have been okay. We get 2 weapons, we move forward, we have 2 people with money. Like, that was gonna be their their loan on a comeback. And now, I mean, there's ults, there's weapons for Fisher, like dimensional drift, like this. Like, oh, that's collegiate for you. We'll put it that way, nerdy.
Yeah, they know they done goofed up, so we have to just hope for the best in the next couple of rounds, because Yikers, Chillin is going to make up for the mistakes that just occurred by taking down 2 players of Fisher College. 3 have been eliminated thus far, poking out of that dark cover. Blast ends up getting eliminated. Okay, so we made a done goof, and we're going to make up for it by absolutely decimating on the following round. And Chillin's just like, here, have a snowflake.
And I don't want to say it's because of the chaos of the double controller, but that's what it felt like, right? We had the one-way over towards Link, we had the one-way on site, and just playing around that plus the dimensional drift and like the Yoru utility, it worked out. So not only did they get the round 1, and it was kind of like this forced buy from Fisher, but they got the dimensional drift out. Your rifle for Soga, but the rest of you, now your economy is stabilized. So we talked about the impact that could have in history. Now if you win the map, it's just kind of like a laugh it off moment, a good memory of like, yeah, we lost that round, but it didn't matter. And now, I mean, SC trying to brush it off here. A little bit of a quick mid take, a little bit different this time. Not really an early presence from SCC here, but they're ready to fight through the extremities, like Link, like Bear just did.
Fair takes down 2, has the opportunity for a 3rd, and then Truth finds a 4th, and Momiji. Nah, Truth took down Momiji, so our ace opportunity is taken. It's okay, but we've got Blast lurking up with the Sheriff in hand, going across the abyss here, takes 1 shot, knows that we're cooked, is gonna say, I'm gonna do it. I'm either gonna go down extra rare, or I'm gonna go down rare, or I'm gonna go well done. And unfortunately, they go down rare. They're not going to be able to find Fair before the end of the round, nor Tejo, but still, that was an awesome showing from SCC. After the blunder that they experienced 2 rounds ago, it's like it never even happened.
Yeah, they're about to tie things up here. And this round, like, I don't think this is a point where either team needs a timeout, because it has been so back and forth, right? 2-2-2-2. But, like, there's so many ults now, it feels like. And that is one thing I do want to note for SCC that I actually like about the composition. I feel like we harped on it a lot in Agent Select. Look at their exec ults. Steel Garden, Armageddon, and the Reckoning. Like, the retake potential here is immaculate. Like, obviously not this round since they only have the Harbor ult, but still. I like this as well. Look, now they have to use additional utility to re-clear past this Cascade. And they're so weary. Look at the deep fight. The Vice calming that they've taken space here, potentially be main. Like, it feels like finally Fisher College is on edge a little bit this round.
Fisher College also is sitting on some healthy ultimates as well, like Steel Garden and the Astral Wall could be huge. We also have been sitting on this Hunter's Fury for quite some time, but I understand it's probably a situational one. We've not successfully gotten into sight and got the spike down and been able to spread back out, but Fair gets punished for being a little overzealous and is taken out by Cuz. We're going to hit them from the shadows. We're going to respond by hitting the Astral Divide. So with the Cosmic Divide coming down, that should allow us to get into sight, get the spike planted down, but we've already pushed in front of it if you're chilling, and unfortunately got punished for that because you've lost all LOS, you've lost the sound as well. Tillo will end up getting eliminated by Sogo as well, so SEC is left with 2 players left standing, and everyone's still alive for Fisher College.
Well, 1v5 now for Instinct. We talked about momentum, maybe finally a snowball starting to accumulate, but since being dismantled, Instinct. Ooh, maybe a lineup. Nah, just clean shots. Flawless. Returned in kind by Fisher to hold on to the lead that they built really early on in this half. But again, it's just so even. Like, even money. Like, look at this across the board. Like, both teams effectively can buy. SEC harboring ultimates, no pun intended. And I mean, at this point, right? Like, when are they gonna pull the ripcord? Like, are they finally then gonna play for a retake instead of these super deep fights like we saw from Fair prior? Like, I'm curious to see how it's gonna change their approach.
I think you could still play for like an early deep fight and not overstay your welcome. Make sure your exit is very close and easy to get to. Get the one trade and then get out. I mean, chillin', one of your teammates just got revealed, so we're forced to use the quick step to get out. We are going to sustain and be able to survive. Everyone's still alive this far. The Cloud Smoke gets forced, but Tillo's not been cleared. I think we're gonna throw out, yeah, we're gonna use the drone. It gets eliminated, so we know because Stealth Drone got taken out, someone's there. Truth ends up getting eliminated by Hyun. That person I said earlier is a demon when it comes to those 1v1s. So now that we're both down one teammate aside, we've got the Steel Garden, we have the Hunter's Fury, but if you're SEC, I think honestly, you have incredible retake potential. Don't play aggressive right now when you don't need to. You have Armageddon, you have Rose Garden, well, Steel Garden, and you have Dimensional Drift. So much intel opportunity and so much damage output could happen here.
No, for sure. I mean, each player down, each team down a player. The reset up for the B exec. Fair. You can get out, right? You talked about having an exit. Dimensional Drift is here. Oh, and you can just get an easy kill there. Maybe rebound for a second. That's dangerous, but it's danger for the opposition. They're going for more. Finally, they get shut down, but I mean, the damage has been done. The 2v3, the re-rotation. Armageddon a little early here, actually. Before their teammate could re-clear, because falls regardless, chilling in the angle. This is a gutsy fight to take if you lose it, but they win it, and SCC again keeping us within 1 round.
I have no words for what Fair did beyond just I'm here for the ego play and keep it up, because I support it so long as you're not getting overly punished for it. And taking down multiple players before you yourself go down, I feel like is a perfect example of how you play as a duelist on an island when you need to be on an island, because that is where Fair was located. They were stuck, they could not get out. Yes, they had Dimensional Drift, you said it yourself, but there was a wall in front of them of 3 players, and they decimated it as much as they could before they got eliminated.
Oh, here we go. I mean, half buy equals a mid fight, right? That's what the Harbor's good at, setting up your players for these kind of plays. And talked about overstaying your welcome. Well, Tillo, I'm gonna say they have their out through vent, but now they're just gonna try and re-clear it with the drone, see how many more players they're perhaps dealing with, but they instead decide upon the passive route, right? They could be there, we block them off, don't give them the opportunity to refight. Instead, we just shot through the high tide and find a kill on the Cuz. Now it's even worse. 2v5. I mean, are we gonna have another flawless here, Nerdy?
I'm not gonna call it just yet. Someone knock on wood if you're a SEC fan, because we still have the opportunity for Fisher College to catch these players off guard. They just need to wait out this high tide that has come through with the cascade. But Tillo with the insta flick over to Momichi. Okay, this.
Ooh.
Oh well, there goes the flawless. Either way, Fair will. Final nation for that round, and we are tied 5 aside on Abyss. You know, at the half, I'm gonna fully admit it to everybody here. During our break, I basically was like, Zhobiii, I think Fisher has this map in the bag, 100%. I feel like they're confident on this one, and they got it. But a 5-5 half is, well, a 5-5 at the 10 round mark is not what I expected. And feel like
They could
SEC
surprise
might
us.
have surprises for us, and right now I'm getting surprised.
I mean, yeah, it's looking nice. I think again they're trying to like learn how to play around the harbor and the mid control establishments, because I feel like most teams have like a mutual agreement to kind of avoid mid minus your singular lurk player that's usually like your Vice or your Cypher or your Astra, and this team they're taking it to a whole new level. Like that's the battleground for this map. And speaking of battlegrounds, off the map you don't clear out this space, and now I mean the gate crash out sets up a new high low, a new threat to anchor this B site. And at this point, yeah, re-clear with the dimensional drift, confirm they've vacated the premises. Or maybe get another kill. Only a deagle. You're not afraid of deagles, right, Fair?
Fair is not afraid of anything at this point. I've been thoroughly convinced of that. We throw out the duplicate, we hit the flash, we send them forward, but they know that it's not you at that point and disengage. I think, honestly, that shows the discipline right there and the respect that Fair is giving to Fisher College, the disengagement, not overstaying it, getting out, rejoining our team.
Yeah. Now it's interesting to regroup here. Maybe they're trying to play off the idea, okay, dimensional drift didn't see anything B, so they probably rotated A heavily. That's not incorrect. There's only 2 players here. And I like Fair, like you're the one that should play for these kills, the rest to try and stay alive. And I mean, Chillin instead playing the idea, let me support my player, my teammate, and get the job done before the reinforcements arrive. Finally, he's lucky enough to get the spike planted, but with a deagle, ooh, Bulldog in hand with no bullets, gotta rely on your deagle. And unfortunately, the Sheriff not gonna get the job done. The 1 before falters, and finally SEC strike the iron while it's hot. They're the ones that beat the Fisher to the punch and get their 6th and get the lead.
All right, now do we end in a 6-6 half, or is this gonna be a 7-5 half favoring St. Clair? I feel mean, but I gotta ask.
I like the parallel symmetry of having the 7-5 on like SCC's pick favoring Fisher College, so I want SCC to have the advantage on Fisher Navy's pick, you know? Yeah, the irony.
I see you, yeah.
So I'm gonna go for that one, I think.
Well, let's see. Will this be like our enigmatic map coming in favor of SCC, keeping their secrets, playing it close to the chest until they absolutely had to play it out? Well, we'll have to see, because right now Cuz takes down Fair, our top frag. The favors returned immediately by Truth, so Cuz is fallen, Truth is gone, but this is where these double duelist compositions for Fisher College come in handy, because their point is not completely eliminated. They still have the Yoru who can lead the charge here and get out alive. Case in point, throws in the duplication, and it gets eliminated. We hit the dimensional drift. We're gonna go in and get the intel for our team during the Hunter's Fury Chaos.
Ow! And that's how you like to play Mamiji and your Yoru Sogo side by side, right? Dimensional Drift guides you to the Hunter's Fury, and you also saw Tillo on the way out, so they couldn't get in that off-putting position, but Truth, that's insult to injury, right? Like, their gun stripped away while the chaos was still ensuing, maybe just to confirm the round. It's the last and a half, you know? Might as well, and looks like you get your 6-6 half, no 7-5 irony last, but Truth 1v4, make us a liar.
Yeah, Truth, I don't think Truth's gonna call you a liar. I think Truth is just gonna go for some exit frags to try and hurt FC's economy as much as possible, but the idea of getting not just the 4 eliminations necessary to win out that round, but the defuse on top of that, because we had already gone to our first level of upticks here, was kind of out of the range of possibilities. So we got a 6-6 half. Definitely not what I expected, but absolutely incredible to see that we are this close on Abyss, which, again, I need to reiterate, was not the map I thought would go in SCC's favor.
I think what's interesting to me, though, right, is like double duelist, like for some reason nowadays is never attack sided, right? Like you'd think it is, and so I'm curious to see how it's going to be played here, because in my mind we point out all these strengths for SCC for their attack half, not their defense, nerdy, right? We talked about the cove, the plant security, the space clearance of the thorns, and the guided salvos, right? And then you talk about smokes and visibility blockers when you have 2 controllers as well between the high tide and you know, the dark covers. Like, this is going to be so hard for Fisher, it feels like, to retake. So that's why we're seeing already early Yoru down mid, Sogo not clearing Tillo.
Instinct pushing forward. We send in that high tide. Momiji's waiting out for the high tide probably to drop because you mentioned it earlier. These slow you down. That's why this util's kind of scary. But there's also the rose thorns on the ground, make it harder. We call back our flash and we're disengaging. I love how we have our two control, like our Senti and our controller playing at the back end to pick up as the anchors here to make sure no one catches our team off guard when they're flooding into the site here.
All right, and there it is. Shorty kill. We talked about double controller. We only need one smoke to possibly get a three-piece. The knife is out. Tillo saved from embarrassment with 3 HP to go. Maintains the player advantage for SCC on this pistol narrowly. But that's the big thing. They play their life. They tuck away safely where that 3 HP is enough to sustain them. You get those guided salvos back here very soon. And that is a huge strength in this post plant.
High tide once again is going to be exhausted. We used this recon bolt. No one's there. Ooh, guided salvos come through off the tap, so Blast is forced to buy more time and just wait. We hit the flash, it gets destroyed. Momichi's gone, the time is going. Pros, unfortunately, may not have the opportunity to not try and stick it here. And that's another round going to SEC. Are we far enough away to all survive the blast? No, Instinct unfortunately does go down to the spike.
It's a pistol. It'll be okay. I mean, the ghosts are carried forward. Now this is kind of, I was going to say, I don't know let's call it a more standard buy. Like, it's just uber aggression from both sides when they win around. I think that's like, okay, that's the first pistol I think that they've won, isn't it? For SCC? So, like, This is the first time we actually get to see what their buy looks like, and I like it. Like, it doesn't feel less aggressive, it's just different flavors of aggression, right? Like the Phantom's there for truth. The Instinct Outlaw is spicier to anchor the A site. Now you have some high-low action here. Alright, let's see. What? Ooh, the smoke! Ferris essentially taken out of the fight, but this is what I wanted to see. The use of the Harbor utility to scale up fruitfully. Look at this, it's a Caterpillar smoke in all truth, taking their role with this Phantom to heart. Like, bro, like, what? They just are all, like, running around, like, this is insane.
You have a cove, you have astral smokes, you have dark cover, no one can see anything. We throw in a high tide, why not? Your line of sight's busted. Your only opportunity is to throw yourself to the wind here and allow yourself to be swooped into the chaos. And Cuz is just like, man, I can't see anything.
Oh, yeah, they were on the flame from the get-go, right? We saw the Outlaw like, kind of holding down the Vent's position. You can see the sheer wall was never tripped, so they took the long route, and that is what happens. You're down in the 1v4, and, I mean, alright, I think that's the, and then, okay, also, like, that's the cleanest, like, second round conversion I think we've seen as well. Because you remember, I think the first one, like, 1 player, I think, survived, and now, like, that was, like, 4. So, now, the player, Hello, who I think had a ghost in that situation, able to buy up their own Phantom. And this is what that strategy of an aggressive second round buy is supposed to look like. So I'm curious to see if St. Clair Saints are going to strike that vein of stability here. And finally, we'll see a third round conversion.
Oh! Well, Cuz is shutting it down first, but they collapse the Guardian. But Fair and Tillo will immediately follow up in kind, taking on both duelists for Fisher College. So our points are gone. Tillo, it did not clear the high ground. We did not keep our head on a swivel. So Hyun got 2 players not even looking in their direction. Instant headshots taken down, and it's just Instinct left standing. We've seen Instinct frag, but right now, they are the ones who've got the least amount of information. Everyone knows roughly where you're at. We know you have the spike, and so you are basically being hunted currently.
The double swing, the triple even. Somehow Blast is able to get 1, which is sorry, Instinct's able to get 1, which is a miracle, but alright, again, never able to find a dominant streak of rounds really for either of these two teams. No exception found here to start off the second half. Blast showing off the lineups for the early round of setup here on the defense so they can, you know, still play from the A site. And this is interesting, right? You're seeing the Vice play split util to help their team. And it also, like, doesn't allow you to have indicators of where the Vice is playing from. Because that's something I've noticed as well on maps like Fracture, is your Vice is usually, like, confined to one site, and you go the opposite because that's where it's strong-sighted. Not gonna be the case here. It doesn't matter if you're just gonna deathball your way into the A with your Omen on the lurk over towards E. Look at the counter, the flash, the fight, and the frags.
Because going up with their... Oh, chillin', what's going on? Are we gonna get Valorant timed here between you two? Oh, kind of. Okay, well, you know, you both know you're there now. That's the only issue.
Oh. Information half the game, shots are the other, and that's the second two-piece back-to-back rounds we've seen from the Astra. Insane individual prowess right now. I talked about stability the Astra brings to a defense. That's like what they're doing, not just with their utility, but with their aim as well. Chillin', you were the B-Lurk player. You're one off from the shadows, which I think is why they're not recovering the spike. They're looking purposely for a kill here on Demamiji, so that then they can ult and just have the B site pretty much for free. But what's really more dangerous, right, is the secluded thorns, the double Astra stars. Like, even if you did get your kill and the spike recovered, you weren't getting onto that B site. 30 seconds left. This might just be a save angle while they're like looking for any kills that might be additional. Or maybe it's just really slow and they think they can make their way back to B after recovering spike.
Perhaps, but I feel like spike is in such a rough spot that if you're chilling, you just gotta vibe.
Yeah, there's no more time left. They're just playing the safe position here.
You just take the just give up the round, take the A8 and go with it, but you get to take your gun with you into the next round.
Yeah. The only thing that's sad there is if you don't die, you don't get your extra ult orb, so you'll have to get it the manual way via a kill or an orb to get the from the shadows in. And that's where we're starting to see maybe the weaknesses of this comp on the attack. Like, yes, all the utility really helps the site take, but it's more by, okay, like passivity. Like, okay, they can't see us, they can't fight us, right? But then they don't have the strength to win those duels, right? And now with the economy not favoring them either, like, somebody has to be that fragging force. And fair? Dimensional Drift, Bucky, this is one way to puncture your way into a site and get a quick gun upgrade. Let's see if it goes how intended.
I'm just used to seeing Stingers and Spectres from the Dimensional Drift because of the uptime on them, but we're going to use the guided salvos to actually take down the wall here, which is, take down the door, which is a great strategy. Gonna look to place down probably a copy. We find one person, we get out of the drift, we let our teammate go up there, we hit the flash, they backed off, but someone's back is to an enemy, and that is unfortunately fair with their back to blast, and we see Tillo also fall to Sogo. Truth finds Momiji, but that just leaves Truth found Momiji, so we just have Truth and our Omen left standing as the spike goes down and the flash goes through.
Ooh. I was curious to see what the ult investment was going to be like from SCC, but it's actually Fisher to take the first step. Cosmic Divide goes in alongside Sogo on the dive out of heaven. They find both kills and the round will follow suit. Fisher Navy was a brief recess, but they are back with the lead in their favor now. And, I mean, SCC, I mean, it was an eco, so great attempt there, right? Like, only one player had a hero rifle in that situation. You didn't let some of these bigger ults rip minus again. What was the original plan to try and give you hope there, the Dimensional Drift from Fair?
Yeah.
This round is going to be a big determinant again, Nerdy.
I think the disengagement off the Dimensional Drift is what kind of went wrong there. Normally for Fair, you just kind of keep going, and we couldn't keep that up in that round, unfortunately. Hopefully this one goes more in our favor because the weapons are equalized. I do see 2 half shields, but honestly, everyone's so good at aiming in this game. 1 headshot, you're dead anyway. We're going to hit the Reckoning in on this engagement, and I think Hyun might be stuck in it. Yes, they are, because takes down Instinct, one of our, I think, by and large, huge anchor and Lurk players. Yeah, Hyun takes down both of the anchor players. That's not good.
At least they got the refrag there, and the B-site control does follow suit off the high tide, but this is so difficult. Fair's on an island, right? You're expecting your duelist to find all of these kills and still gamble the visibility out of heaven. I know, like, the Cascade came in late. Like, it's so difficult now. I like the fake out of the orb. The plant attempt was backside, but that's double digits for Fisher Navy. And, oh, SEC timeout question mark?
Look, it's double debit. Same question, but yeah, there it is.
That's my favorite magic trick, is I speak of a timeout and it exists.
You manifest it. But Fisher College, look, again, I cannot lean into what statistics normally shine through here for a lot of college teams because these players are a little bit above that level. So when we see this 8-10, this is exactly what we had on Haven as well. But who won out on Haven despite not getting double digits first? St. Clair College. So, what are the adjustments we're going to make here? You and I saw a lot of lockdown potential on the offensive takes here from this setup that they have, but unfortunately it takes a lot of concise movements and utility usage in conjunction with standing your ground, getting those swing out eliminations first as you're pushing forward with this utility to clear out those long angles. The issue here is the follow through. Can they do that? Because so far they've only gotten 2 rounds in the second half, and so things are getting shaky for them, I think, and thus this timeout being very important. Hopefully it's talking about the follow through on the utility here.
I kind of want them to like again, side exits right now feel a little bit rough. Like the Reckoning wasn't even enough, right, to get them that space, because like the B site with the Astra is like unlocked. Like I think like they're starting to identify, like, yes, the Thorns are on the B site, but your Vice is alone A. And I think that's why they're going to fight heavily towards the A site this go round, while there was this more aggressive kind of counterplay from Fisher Navy, incorrectly called. But it doesn't matter. You have a gate crash. You know, you got Sogo back with the regroup over towards the A site with the team. And that's what's so dangerous about this Yoru. But speaking of a dangerous Yoru, Fair now going for the deep dive, the entry here. The Shroud, or sorry, the from the Shadows will to regroup with the team, but you overstep off the recon bolt. The teammate's not destroying it in time, and this is the danger. They get partial site control, but never the spike plant. Oh.
I don't want to call it just yet because we have Instinct finding one. We're going to hit the Steel Garden as well, which I don't know. After the elimination on Cuz, which I think was right as the Steel Garden got initiated, it might have been a little bit of overkill, but it's Hyun, our 1v1 demon coming in. With that dark cover expiring, everyone is posted up to try and deal with where you're coming from, and I think they all know exactly where you're at, and in particular, Chillin wanting to get some revenge for earlier for that insane flank that you had taking down their anchors on their first attack.
That was a really good rebound after Fair had fallen, even with the opening kill, right? And like it does take all of the ultimates, which again is sometimes what a timeout is for. It's like, okay, you're about follow through on utility. Well, it was a little weak at the start, and then the beautiful counters, you know, from the team, but then they did a great follow up on the ults instead of the utility, the pure utility. So that's how you get your round converted. It makes it a little bit dangerous because look who's about to have like all their ults online, Fisher and AV, right? So we talk about like, okay, a map 3 possibility, like it would be like in the next round or two, they get their ults stream. But now, this is a great change of pace. Sogo's been that insane like multi-frag player for Fisher Navy, and that variable is out of the equation from the get-go.
Well, they do still have their Jet alive, which is what I said is the advantage of this two-pronged approach with your duelists. And with that in mind, Fisher can still use Bladestorm as a re-engagement tool so long as they don't end up losing Jet, if they're going to play for retake on either site. Right now, SEC is showing a lot of discipline. They're trying to go for almost like soft defaults here to pull attention as we hit the dimensional drift and we're engaging quickly onto A site. Fair's going to get us as much intel as possible, look to use the flash. Teleport's actually over towards the other site, so they wanted to pull a lot of attention, but look, Fisher College is not falling for it.
Yeah, I mean, teams are anchored for a reason, right? Like, both in their ability to hold this site and that the fact they don't leave paranoid, but it doesn't matter when that cliff is as narrow as it is. Streamlines the process, finds the kill. Now the Gravity will try to fragment these remaining players, but when you have an operator, they can't really aid you too much when the high tide's blocking. But again, Fair has found himself in this position more than once. Pushed up deep alone, cannot find their kill. And now, I mean, when your players that are offside trying to play post plane are getting threatened from the get-go, they really can't hold on. Spike down landed for you. Instinct in the 1v3, waiting out the time for their weapon to come back. And while it does, they're getting chipped away. One Bladestorm blade after another. And with plenty of time to work with, the double sight line hold is good. And so is the 11th.
All right, let's see, Fisher College. Do you manage to put us at that 12-round mark before SEC hits the 10? Which will post us up most likely to see an OT here once again. We have Cuz with that operator, but the one thing that does worry me is Hyun, even though they've been fragging out so much, is a little bit broke, as is Blast. So we could see this kind of start to trickle down a little bit. If we lose this round, it's going to make things a little bit rough for Fisher College in the next 2 rounds, which would force an overtime. So they have to win this one, or things are going to get a little bit hairy.
Ooh. That's why they're doing again. The trademark special, the Yoru Sova ult combo. But what's gonna take the cake is the operator shot ringing through mid. That's your harbor gone. Sogo holding on to A main space. Now the rest of the team regrouping behind them. They never let up on this space. Fair. Having to re-clear. Make sure there wasn't a TP fake out here. And I mean, at this point, you're looking again for an opening, right? You know the op was mid. You know there was a heavy fight A main. So far, no one's giving them that opportunity on Fisher's side.
Ooh, Fair not checking the right angle. Ends up getting, pun intended, taken out. So does Tilo. Now it is just left to Chillin. Chillin only has a Guardian. What's the plan of attack here, my friend? Are we gonna... Ooh, we're gonna face down two. We find the off, but there is some people swinging over towards our right side. We're gonna hit the reload, continue to progress our way over towards that spike, but we're getting pinched. We're getting engaged on from multiple angles, my friend. This is gonna get real sticky real soon. So you gotta keep pushing forward, hitting that W key, and praying you're able to get these elims. And there's Momiji on the high ground, able to win out that 1v1.
Yeah, there's your 12 before SEC closes the gap and guarantees their overtime, like over on Haven. And I'm look at the buy here for SCC. This might just be our map 3. We talked about SCC and the surprise element, right? And then an unorthodox comp as well, maybe being more difficult to adjust to than, you know, what SCC had to adjust against for Fisher College over on Haven. And it feels like that seems to be the occurrence here. 3 rounds in a row needed for SCC to get to overtime. Could have been 10, but there's that one round. The spike defense slipped away.
Yeah.
Ooh. I had to hit him with it. But regardless, let's see what they can do.
Very patient. We lose our doppelganger.
Oh, that's a rough. Just not able to escape. Trying to trip the sheer wall. Just whittle away the Vice defenses. It does trip the Yoru gate crash, which weakens the B site, but they don't have to worry about B site control because of how deep Cuz is pushed into vents, right? They had so much space control they could commit to the A rotate, the A anchor. They know there's a TP set up here. They're gonna punish off of that as well. Hello? They have snuck in here if they took the rope. They don't... Oh, but the recon re-clear is too strong with 2 players remaining. Fracture is coming closer and closer into our sight lines.
Oh, we hit the we blind swing out. It does not work. Blast and Momiji clean up the remaining members of STC, and that is 9-13 going the way of Fisher College here for Abyss. I was leading St. Clair favor on this map, so I'm going to stay tried and true on that. I still think it's going to be a fight to the finish, though, and ultimately, I think it's whichever team gets overzealous with their ult usage at probably the when we're at the 10-10 mark.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I talked about the aggressiveness from the Fisher College comp. Well, or playstyle, and now they are definitely taking that dive here. Fair not cleared. Takes at least 1 down, but that paint shell basically finishing the job, sealing their fate. Chillin trying to pick up the slack here, and now they are caught out by the trading players. Thus settles the 2v3. They think they have full site control, but what are the odds another player's there? What are the odds the Sentinel's there? Instinct picks up 2 as a result, and it's all down to Blast, but players separated. Spike has to get covered by Blast in the situation. They were your lurk player. Made their way all the way through the A site. They're like, hey guys, I did my job. What happened?
Things have fallen apart. Blast.
Oh.
Oh no.
Did you not see it?
I don't think they did.
That's good. They're gonna clear. Ooh. I was gonna say, are they gonna clear out the lower player first? If they went back, then they would have had a 1v1. Now the flash gives it away. I would think we would start to see Tilo make their way towards Instinct.
Oh,
and they are.
That definitely gave them away.
Oh. Silent drop.
I have the spike.
Spike recovery, respect.
Instinct definitely saw the leg.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they're going A. 23 seconds. I really like this call because then they would have been pinched right between arcade and main. They make it around the corner. Instinct tracking right through dish, through drop, and they're not sure. They've never seen Tilo here. So they just got to go for the safe plant here. 10 seconds left. The salvos. Ooh, it's going to be close. And they make it out. Half HP pinged away.
Drone goes through. Their location's fully revealed. They're suppressed. They hear the drop. They enter the spy cage. The two cross paths, and Tillo will be the one to get the final shot onto Blast.
And oh my goodness, if that round is like an exhibit of what we're gonna go through this map, like we are definitely in for a ride, like you predicted, Nerdy, right? Like it started out so like pop aggressive, Fisher, like getting the advantage, and then they don't think instinct is there. And again, that's to me, that's also an example of, okay, they're getting tired, they're making small mistakes that have catastrophic impacts, right? Like any other player would have been still like effectively clearing out those angles, but they just like full gamble, like, oh, they're not here, let's just go plant. And now SCC first map now, like they've improved their like pistol record last map, but now like it's from the get-go they have the lead for the first time in this series.
All right, flash goes through onto Fair, who has the outlaw. I don't think they're aware of how many people are pushing up their arcade. The ruse drops onto them. They get hit with a concuss. They're just trying to bide their time in a safe zone and disengage and wait for their team. You can see we've got also one person by A side, and our defenders have completely pushed through A main and come back inside. And unfortunately, it put themselves in Blast line of sight. They did get a little bit of damage onto Blast. It should come back. But because of Blast being here, they're pulling a bunch of attention towards A side. Those three members who ostensibly would have gone through mid and gone over towards gone over towards B, are stuck.
This is interesting. I think, like, do you notice how far back the players for SCC are playing? I think this is because they recognize the space Cuz took, and they recognize that the players have forced here for the side of Fisher College. Like, and I mean, even then, still instinct is somehow sound. So it's just getting worse with each passing second. Now your raise is suppressed, util stripped away. Outlaw in hand trying to punish, talked about overzealousness. Player that might peek out here, but nobody is even taking that chance.
Tillo finding Cuz. We send out the boom bot through the smoke, trying to get it to pick up on anybody, but it didn't. Chillin gets that spike defuse started, gets it to half. We have an elimination onto Blast and Sogo. The guided salvos are on the spike, so that's why we disengaged. But Tillo coming in, cleaning it up, and Chillin's like, we are not having a repeat of what just happened in the last map, and goes for the defuse and sticks it the rest of the way.
Yeah, when Fisher got like the B site without much confrontation out of St. Clair Saints, I'm like, are we gonna see another 1-1 here in our CECC East qualifier grand finals? And then just again, how smooth and how paced SCC was on the retake was what pulled that back into their favor, right? You smoke the bomb, you get on, you whittle away the post plant utility, and you take the guns up in their faces into heaven. And that's something else I've seen is like towers become a death trap in the new meta. And death traps, both land their shots, but an outlaw is gonna supersede a marshal any day.
And we have but when you've already taken damage, unfortunately, the sheriff will win out that duel for Sogo to return the favor for their fallen teammate.
All right. Taking the rope slow. You don't want any sound cues in spawn. Regroup heading towards A, but the players dropped, didn't leave. They cleared that space, searched out for a lurking vice, and then fell back. Now, I mean, the drone will be your best bet, spotting out these A main players, and I don't know, this feels like a meat grinder of an exec. The smoke that I think was meant for Dish? No, it's just maybe two side smokes. Okay, I lied. And they are able to get the site control. But the players here for SCC are ready to counter immediately. Armageddon waits for these short ruses to fade. Now the players are just stuck.
The gravity well and concussion was used as well. Momiji Hoon also finding another. Momiji will fall. It is just going to be our breach versus 2, and they end up falling as well.
Yeah, when we forgot those first 2 deagle shots, I was a little like sweating a little bit. I was like, there's no way like the player, I think it was Chillin should have fallen there trying to clear out the player below drop. I think it was Momiji there. And then they just somehow are protected from the A main players because the smoke fades. Like, insane, but still SCC. Talked about wanting our first like 3-0 up off of a round start, right? And like, or half start over on Abyss, but we're blessed with it here on Fracture. Ooh, I mean, I said the SCC and the work they put in could start paying off, but this is an interesting start.
Let's see what they have to offer us now that firepower is going to be equalized here with Fisher College. Not only having equal firepower, but also having this not dead yet means that we have basically double duelists coming in, but there with the double blast pack on top of boxes to find Momiji. Unfortunately does some damage to themselves and gets slowed. Will disengage finally after, I think that was an accident walking into that.
Well, regardless, they already lost the player on the exec. Figure Raze made it a spawn, but it might not matter. There's 2 guns here, close and short range. So some of the things they're pushing a player that has a sniper rifle, when in reality it's a judge. The reposition though, they heard the drop down, and now as a result, I mean, I don't think your Clove got the kill or the assist, so they're still gonna fall. It's still gonna be a 3-on-3 as a result. Not getting cleared just yet. Blast! Caught with the arc where it was out. But Cuz not getting cleared. Well, now, and you should know where the last remaining player is, but you're stunned by the Rolling Thunder. Cat and mouse, it's Rocket Fuse running out. The reposition through the door. Now they know you did take the opportunity to pass through. You're just gonna flip the site, flip the map. And yes, there's an opportunity to stick it, but it's slipping away. The Aftershock, yeah, they still had that in their arsenal. There was no world where they won that.
No, yeah.
Ooh.
So that's finally Fisher College getting one up on the board, and I do believe everyone should be able to buy this round, but I think Blast might, opt for something a little bit cheaper just because they did end up getting eliminated last round. Everybody did, but still, sometimes you just have no choice but to go with a lighter buy. Now we're looking at what St. Clair College is doing in return. We do see some force buys as well as 3 sheriffs coming through, so we're doing what we can without fully breaking the bank here. I like this kind of economy strategy they're going with for this one. Let's see if it works in their favor and if they're able to bonus 2 extra weapons into the next round.
Well, great counter finally towards these players that previously from SCC were getting all of dish space unimpeded. Nice little trap play here. I like the response though. This is smart, right, from SCC. You're getting heavy pressured out of dish, out of drop. You take main space. And while Instinct's also taking spawn space, the players for Fisher were aware of it. Even doubled up with Momiji at their side, but they splinter with the reclear over towards A, and now it's just Momiji on an island, and the troops, the voyage to reclear spawn coming through on the eco. That's 2 weapons down and 2 weapons collected for SCC. An Instinct, I don't even know where you were, but you find 2. Now you got spiked down in arcade. And it's all down to Sogo. Position known and chilling. Insult to injury for the flawless... What do we call that? Anti-eco?
Yeah, that was an anti-eco, and I need to throw this out there. If Fisher College does not make up for what happens when they end up on islands, because they tend to end up... their timing's just slightly off, and they put themselves into islands. If they don't make up for that and fix it here during this timeout, things are just not going to be good.
Yeah. Jerry stepping in here for a sec. Again, the pacing here, like, is it wrong to say I think Fisher's taking it too fast?
No,
right now?
I think that's actually what's going wrong. The timing, because so many of them are wanting to get in onto site, they're just letting some things slip through the cracks. The timing on the executions onto when they should be using their cooldowns for their protocols is just not quite lining up, and it's creating chaos, and the chaos is not favoring them.
I mean, it's not even that. It's just like the speed is making it predictable as well, right? SCC hasn't had to overthink like any of their rotations, right? Like at that point, like you were like pretty sure they're committing, and that's something I think SCC has done all series, right? They're more apt to rotate and play retake than just like hold on to their space, their positions, and I think that's actually benefiting them here on Fracture more than it has any other map this series.
The only person for SEC not having a Vandal being Tilo, the top frag, I feel like they're in a solid position to have this Fisher anti-eco round go in their favor. I want to keep an eye on this showstopper, though, coming from Fisher College. Does it work out in their favor? Are we going to see at least one elimination come from it after we get information and intel on where someone's at and use that to pick up a weapon? Because Tilo will just barely dodge the guidance solos as well as the fault line that came through.
Well, doesn't seem like Fisher and Navy's taking our advice, I would say, of a slower approach, but they still got, I would say, like, sand control, which is nice. And I mean, if Tilo won that fight, it could have gotten dangerous, so the fact that Momiji wins it out and gets an upgrade for their troubles is insane for the chances of this round, right? Now you post-play it with a showstopper and an Armageddon, and Zobo deposited so heavily, like, it should have given them hope here, but just, again, we talked about resiliency, SCC sticking it through, clean, thorough, clearing every nook and cranny of this A side. It's all down to the Armageddon. Tap. I'm not even get the chance to pop it. Momiji was playing so deep, and they still get cleared.
So that's round, what, 6 going to SCC, putting them at 5 so far. I mean, we could still have a 6-6 half. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but the changes after that, I will say, because it was an eco round, that we perhaps did not see the changes coming for FC that they want to have, and that this is the round that we really see it. Typically, and I think you're the one who taught me this, that after a timeout's called, it's typically 2 rounds before you actually see the impact of what that timeout was meant for come to fruition. So this might be the round that we see those changes take place, and we really see Fisher College come online and like their third eye unlocking, so to speak.
Well, let's hope. I do agree. Like, we talked about wanting them to slow it down, and eco is not the chance to slow it down. But it still feels very, like, basic, right? Hyper aggression. I like the stall out here a little bit, but still, they're execing where they first make noise. And just, again, the creative positions, the experience for SCC, continually changing things up here. A difference this time, the lurk, from Blast, actually successful. Takes out 2 players, so now that retake process isn't as streamlined. Even then, if a hero player steps up, gotta retaliate in some way. Fisher does so with a Steel Garden. So you're gonna take really deep space away, like don't allow them to punish in a spawn. Respect the plant, play retake. Give numbers.
I mean, the Momiji does have Armageddon, but so long as none of us are caught directly dead center of it the entire time, it should be okay. Now things are going to get a little bit harder because you're dealing with the fact that Armageddon's there, plus you're in a 2v2. So that means these angles need to be perfect. You need to not walk out and end up in the crossfire of 2 players at the same time. And if they can manage to figure out where one is, shut it down, and then move on to the next with this Cyber Cage, which is perfect. Pinch Momiji off, take care of Heaven. Oh, the stun didn't, it did not land.
Oh, that messy fight. It gets the job done. They're actually not going to use the Armageddon here, which is so smart when you talk about the prospect of a 6-6-6 or a 6-6 comeback. And I mean, SCC Instinct finds one on the exit, but that's all you're going to get is your weapon saved. That was a nice. I mean, okay, but what did they change?
I don't think they slowed down. I honestly think it was sending Blast not on an attention flank, but on a go and kill flank.
I'm gonna see your point and raise you that they didn't have them in an impact lurk. Like usually when they're hitting B, right, they would have Blast like prodding the A site, right? They had them just playing to more cover their flank, right? Like to make sure that they didn't set up that kind of streamlined retake process. So I think that's what they changed, how Blast was playing. And it helps that Blast, was able to find 2 on their own, on their lonesome. Not necessarily changes, but
flashbacks. Do you remember you and I that I'm having flashbacks to that right now? Let's see how this works out. We've got a 2-pronged approach front here. We're opting to take down the 2-player wall that's posted up at Arcade first. It works, but now we've got a free entry point onto the objective for Fisher College. However, it's at the cost of 3 players.
Ooh, and here we go. SCC has so many ults to work with. Rolling Thunder, disrespect of the aftershock, because you know the player's stunned, you know you have a shorty. And it's so go. Head on a swivel, too many angles to hold, the paranoia sets in. And the round goes the way of St. Clair Saints. They just roll forward, they secure their 6. They're like, yeah, guys, you won your round. Like after your timeout, but doesn't matter. We are in control of the pace of this game.
And we're going to be, I think, in an eco round yet again for Fisher College. I wonder what their plan of attack will be here, considering they do have that Armageddon, but likely not going to be used this round. Full transparency. I do not think, unless most people are standing and we have weapons in hand, we're not going to probably see, like, I'm talking like 3 players with stolen Vandals standing. Will we see the use of that Armageddon?
We'll see. I think if it comes down like a 1v1, even if they don't have a weapon, that's when you could use it.
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely agree. I hope they don't use it on a, like an exec or anything. But this is a clean exec. The satchel in off the stun. But then again, SCC, I talked about their awareness, their creativity, and spread in this post-plant, or sorry, this site hold, right? And that's exactly what they do here yet again. And yet again, it gets the job done for now. Bravo, really nice on tower. But unfortunately, just not enough HP after the exchange against Blast and the 3v3. Now, we said FC wouldn't use any ults, but do we see the Armageddon from St. Clair? Do we see the Cosmic Divide from St. Clair on this retake?
Theoretically, we could if they want to play patiently and let Fisher College actually get this spike down and then fully play for retake, which I think they might. They've showed us that they're pretty patient. It could just be because my comparison is how Fisher College quickly executes on the sites. Let that be known. But yeah, it looks like they're trying to just be scary and not let their space get taken into by Cuz right now.
There it is. Fisher, maybe. You said you didn't want to see it popped. It was utilized to try and take deeper spawn space. But Tillo counters it. Chillin' feels the spidey senses. Checks their back. Momiji was canteen. But now Spike was in generator. So they basically hand-delivered on a silver platter the win con for this round before Spike got planted. And, I mean, the grab, well, you just delay at this point. It doesn't matter if you have a ruse from your clove or not. SCC guaranteed themselves a lead at the half.
All right, SCC, show me what you got when you've got so many ults in your back pocket and ready to go. All right, now, the timeout was called earlier. Things did not change very much. Is this the round that we see some shifts? And if we were to see some shifting here for Fisher College, which they're looking for that 4-round mark, and it's getting farther and farther away, what are they looking to do here? What's the difference maker?
That's the thing, is we say, like, from an analyst perspective, we want Fisher College to change. But I don't think they are making changes. And sometimes just the speed of these rounds, right? You talked about how early the timeout was. You can't make those quick, like, very stark adjustments on the fly. You have to stick to what you've done in scrims, what you've done in practice. And unfortunately, that I feel like it's constricted them and what they're able to do. I mean, this is just another repeated, like, arcade hit. And I think since the pistol, they haven't really faced much, like, I feel like pushback from SCC on this type of exec, because SCC is usually confident on the retake here. This time, oh my god.
We're even opting to hit the not dead yet. In return, we hit the Armageddon, but Cuz will find Tilo after the trade for their own teammate. Sogo, though, runs out of time, and we're in a 1v1. Spike is not down. It is out in the open on the other side of this ruse, and Chillin, I think, is aware that it's still there.
I mean, after all of that, after what looked like Fisher Navy having utter dominance, it still crumbles into a Chillin clutch and an 8th round for St. Clair Saints. I mean, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to phrase what Cuz just did on Defair with the showstopper. I'm like, oh, did they slam dunk them? Did they style on them? Like, it doesn't matter. That was such a shutdown of some of these hugely impactful ultimates that SCC you were waiting to see get utilized. And, I mean, again, I don't know how that went so wrong so fast for Fisher Navy.
I think their Achilles heel is the fast execution. So SCC lets them use as much utility as they want. They disengage, and then they retake at their own tempo using the utility that they saved up because they didn't press anything down.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Just 2 trap wires on the site? You take space away from that aggression, right? Well, now you're taking space into the aggression, which is a change SCC didn't necessarily need to make, and we see the repercussions. But there's also a change, I feel like. They're experimenting, yes. Oh my gosh, and that could be why they trust in the clutch ability of their individual teammates. I mean, Kaz is 17 HP. This is still winnable, right? Cosmic Divide online. Still only a deagle in the hand of win, like, okay, number 1. Number 2, Fisher, they were actually making a change that round. Did you notice? they started more of like a 2-3 split, right? Your breach was over towards arcade. So you talk about last round and how, okay, they were avoiding taking fights. Fair to avoid that fight, pushed into main and was uncontested, right? So since they were uncontested, they could have, like you mentioned, that streamlined retake process off the showstopper, regardless of the results of the showstopper.
Yeah.
And so what did they do this time? They tried to punish where SEC has been taking space, and it worked.
But also SEC is not rotating off of B site entirely. We're poking over near arcade. We see the ruses go down. So most likely we believe that this is the execution site, that this is where we're going. We're probably going to struggle to take over tower. I will say that if we're SEC. Also, I could throw out the idea that you just let Fisher win this round.
Nah. It's 8-2. You're able to buy next round if you're SEC regardless. Like, you just see if Instinct can pull out another miracle clutch here. Got 2 cages to work with. Split the players up. Expect them to try and cover some weapons. Utility, pretty impressive, but I like this. Again, they're doing everything they can to avoid any refrags using these cages. Now they hear the reload. They're tracking, scenting when it doesn't matter, though. The team ace, finally, a breath of fresh air for Fisher Navy.
All right, one off of that pinnacle 4 rounds when you're struggling in a half. Let's see, can Fisher pull this off? They've got the Showstopper, Rolling Thunder, and the Steel Garden available for them. On the flip side of things, we have that Rolling Thunder and the Cosmic Divide that can come down, which I feel like Cosmic Divide and Rolling Thunder both can be really huge to help try to push back any form of forward pressure that gets created off of Steel Garden for Fisher if it's for taking objective type of capabilities. But I feel like post-plant Steel Garden is what Fisher might be looking to do here, which is what they did last time. Midway through plant, we heard Steel Garden go down.
Yeah, I completely agree with that analysis. And we're seeing again what I wanted to have happen, right? This split, right? You don't have your blast alone, because then you expect them to have these heroic plays. But this is the second time I was going to say they've gotten away with this position for fair, and somehow they survive. The Rolling Thunder comes in early, just to clear out generator space. That's what they wanted to use the Armageddon for last time, right? But that was more of a desperate play. This was more of a informed play. Now, speaking of information, you spotted out how many players on the flank? 1, 2, maybe 3. A flick. Protection from Chillin. They've cleared out this space. And again, 2v3. Do we see the Cosmic Divide? Do we see the Rolling Thunder? Yeah, here we go. 1 or 2? This is 1 maybe. Oh, both?
Oh no, we're hitting both right now. That, I feel like, is very spendy and not worth it. And I didn't say that just because I saw both Truth and Chillin fall. I don't think both those in conjunction with one another actually work well in that instance, just because of the way the site is set up. So you're pushing people further away from you first and foremost, and then you're putting up the Cosmic Divide, which ostensibly they could be on the other side of the Cosmic Divide after the Rolling Thunder. So I don't feel like using those in tandem was the right call there from St. Clair College.
I don't even feel like that was the issue. It's more like they already knew where both of you were. So after you pull the Rolling Thunder and the Cosmic Divide, they know where they had to be looking, right?
True.
And like, again, we talked about how they used their Rolling Thunder on Fisher Navy side. They had such deep spawn space that a Rolling Thunder didn't have much impact because they weren't playing site, right? Like, to the minimap, there was 1 site, 1 canteen, 1 Jenny. Like, it felt like you were the attackers trying to take the B site at that point. 8-4 half, that's the minimum you say you like to have, Nerdy, for a potential comeback, at least streamline. See what happens here. SCC is on the pistol, on the attack.
It looks like Chillin also has a possible love interest in our chat room who's asking if Chillin is single. I don't know the answer to that. You'll have to ask them yourselves later on. But we've got Cuz waiting out this ruse, seeing if anyone has the gall to be standing in it as it expires, which I highly doubt anyone intentionally does most of the time, because it goes away and no one is there. We also send forward that spy drone. No one is in it either.
Yeah.
Oh
my god. That Truth stolen. That should have been your kill. The dink, you hear it ringing true, but your duelist gets it instead. But still, great punish on an overstep from Fisher Navy. We talked about their proactivity and how it... I mean, we saw it time and time again on the attack. We even talked about the dial maybe being too powerful. Now, we get punished for that on the defensive approach. But, look, this is like, to me, like such staggeringly different approaches to this map. And look at the speed, though, that SCC is able to apply. I talked about adaptation, picking up what Fracture requires. Well, they've studied it, and now they are looking to ace that test. A beautiful exec. Now 1v4. Tillo reclearing the flank. Like, that okay.
I think SCC, like, what they're doing is they're taking it slow and steady until they see the perfect opportunity to explode onto an objective. When they get that pinnacle information telling them where people are, they find those 2 kills, they flood in and they clean up the rest of the space. And then once they get them, they're aware, hey, flank is going to be the next place they're looking to go. We turn back, we pivot, we take care of it, spike is down already, and we're good to go. I think that is a textbook execution of a first round on Fracture, but now it's up to FC to respond. Will they stop trying to take these duels early on? Because don't get me wrong, they can take them, but should they is really the question here, because if they disengage and wait for backup, they have a much better chance of being successful.
Well, this is your answer. I mean, it's Nico. They want to group up.
Round 2 notwithstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, taking a main space is just, like, a default on the defensive Fracture. Overstepping into spawn, that's where things get dicey, where it's a risk, where it's a gamble. And on Nico, where you don't have weapons, right? Like, you're hoping to catch maybe 1 or 2 players off guard, hoping they're playing for a split, but again, just wait and respond. That's how you coined it, and that's exactly what SCC just did. Now they get the A site for free. Your Sentinel left rotating from the other site.
We just played I want that skin.
They just got robbed. Both
They did.
guns. Oh, highway robbery, bro. And here we go. Oh,
Fair?
fair? You saw them like bluntly on your
There's a level
screen.
of confusion that I don't
It's
care
the
to address.
sleepiness. It's the sleepiness.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm calling it out 90% of the voice comms right now. SCC was like, bro, fair. You saw them on your minimap. And they're like, what? I did? And now they're clearing the space. In truth, highway robbery back into the ghost, back into the kill for the flawless. Double digits for St. Clair Saints, showing why they are your CECC reigning champions right now.
Oh look, comeback is still not impossible. For the Fisher College fans that are in the chat right now, I need to throw it out there. It's not out of the cards yet, but every single round is one extra card being removed, like we're playing Balatro right now, and you just decided to use your ectoplasm too many times.
I'm gonna act like I understood that reference. But I do agree with you. Like, the odds of them pulling like a straight flush right now of a 6-round comeback, low. And I mean, again, it's just like, this feels like, I don't want to say like experience, because both of these like teams play tier 2 a lot. It feels like a Fracture experience difference, right?
Yes.
And we talked about how like maybe the mechanics could be very Fisher, but they're making small mistakes, right? We see the energy wearing at them as well, but it doesn't matter if you take the fight head on, right? Because if you're taking the fight head on, there's no corners to clear, there's no thoroughness to worry about. Beautiful Arcro splash, but it doesn't matter. They've gotten away on only scathed, mildly maimed. Look at this, SCC, I love this.
Flesh wound.
Yep. They're throwing weapons out, they don't want them to collect them.
I like that strategy. They actually have the agent power advantage on the field currently. Instinct might be able to shut that down though if they get a little overzealous. We'll have to wait and see. Instinct, ooh, getting shots fired on them from Generator, puts down the spy cage. It's not enough. We do see a 1-for-1 trade though, but it's gonna be blasted by the last 2 players. SCC finally able to pop off a little bit more.
Yeah, there we go. A round on the board for Fisher. Second half. And that's the most standard second half we've seen yet, right? The rifle round comes online, you win it out. The way they won it, definitely spicy, right? Like, taking again that extra step forward through A main control. Like, it's like, it was kind of like FC being like, you're not gonna expect it to do it twice, right? Like, and they did it twice, and SCC this time wasn't expecting it, wasn't able to handle the pressure. You know, they had hefty weapons, but not like the equivalent of what Fisher has on their buy round, so. SCC now, back to rifle buy. Let's see what happens when it's even footing. Look at this. You're Cypher, you're about to get overwhelmed. I hope you're ready to go on the zip line.
Momiji sending out that stealth drone. Instinct at drop. Is it a 2v1 overstaying their welcome? Not recognizing the hot water they're in because there's a lot of the team over there.
Alright. Last, doing a decent job anchoring here. For enough time for Momiji now to play out of canteen with them. Enough for Cuz as well to get to Generator. The truth. Cleared out Jenny's base, and all these players I said were there for support swing out one at a time and are dealt with as a result. Oh, chilling what?
Oh,
That's you're out in the open there, mate. And now it's a 3-on-3.
I'm with that on the sleepiness. I'm with that one on
me
sleepy.
too. Doesn't matter if their team clutches. Yep, and here we go. I mean, Tillo, they're trying to track them down. They know they're playing the guided salvos, right? Because it's like, that would be my first checklist option here, but... Ooh, bomb bot. Red herring. Reloading what should have been a safe position. And at this point, like I said, I mean, yes, you could win the fight on a Truth. Yes, you could tap the bomb, but the guided salvos would have been back online. You didn't even get that far because Truth wins out their duel for the 11th on the St. Clair Saints. And look at the ults as well that are following. So right now, if you're SCC, this should be... Okay. I was gonna say, in your right mind, you would be expecting Fisher College to save here and play for OT.
Oh yeah.
Fisher College is forcing though. So I think what they're gonna do is I think they should go slow, wait to recognize if this was a buy or not. And then that's when they're like, okay, maybe we need to invest some ults just to lock in our 12th, right? Otherwise, like, if they take this as okay, we're gonna death ball into a site because they're broke, it would be rough. So and that's kind of what they're doing. They wait out the util, they leave their typical Cypher. This is something that Fisher's been good at, right? Clearing out the Cypher, overwhelming instinct in these situations. And look, close, Sogo, gonna do it again. Reach stun and all. No way.
Look at Instinct is baiting them back, forcing them into 1v1 angles. Still, I don't care if Instinct goes for the trade. Instinct still got 2 kills. However, the team ends up falling to Momiji. Chillin gets blast, but we're now in a 2v3 type of situation. Make it a 2v2 because Chillin knew where Momiji was and went head hunting.
All right. Showstopper online as well. Cosmic Divide, a nice fake out here while they head to the B site. I think the players for Fisher just far enough they won't hear it. And I wish the Cosmic Divide stayed up a little bit longer. You know why? Because then they wouldn't have heard the spike plant and would have thought it was still the A site for a solid few more seconds. But now, hear the spike tap, nowhere to rotate towards the B site. Here we go.
All right. Is it going to be showstopper time?
I don't know. You don't know where the players are, so I don't think it's a good move. But
my thought process is you find out where they aren't or where they are based off showstopper. If it kills someone, then you found out where they were. But now you know they're not in tower. Yeah, that is true.
Guided salvos.
Missiles away.
You know, well, I think Tillo made the mistake of playing that so close because they know where you are when you pop the salvos. They didn't know where the Astra was, but they felt the mounting pressure as Cuz was clearing out Tello, and both players for Fisher College win their ones and they win the round, fending St. Clair Saints off of map point, proving why they may be forced into that round. And SCC, talked about how theirs have been very reactive last-minute timeouts. I wouldn't be against them taking one, like...
Just right now, cut the momentum.
Yeah, they shipped 2, right? Still, they didn't take one in the first half.
Yeah, they
so
do.
take one now, and then take one like right before you're like about to lose. Like, look at the
I'm
money.
with you on that. I'm
Maybe
with
next
you on
round.
that.
Okay, I think they had the funds to force into this round, but because they're not, they don't take the timeout. But definitely take a next round if you lose this round, please.
The guiding words of our sage on desk.
Please, please. All right.
Blast being up here inside tower, I feel like is so risky for them.
They've gotten away with it every time, though.
I know, that is the crazy part about it.
Like, I've been like a Killjoy, a Sentinel playing in tower, getting oppressed by that, but this is interesting. They've cleared out all of A main space. And I talked about this. When you know they're heavy arcade, sorry, you take B main space, right? And you have to have somebody from SCC try and clear out, and they've yet to do that. Now, if there was somehow a big brain read and they like let like a Breach Jolt and Armageddon rip into B main, this would be interesting, but they don't. They don't have that foresight. So now the Armageddon players funneling in. This was perfection of a retake.
That was clean.
No way.
Well, the defuse is still gonna
Too
come
late.
through, and it's
What you told you have left? Are the salvos online? I don't think so.
no.
Yeah.
And we hit Armageddon, and Cuz just found Instinct. It's just a one. Until
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I would
we
not have
hit
used
the
that.
Armageddon. You know what?
The Deagle shots were nice. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong.
We
But
got a
again,
little too spicy.
like no one to back down. Fisher College, like that was like outplay. Finally, the SCC. Okay, they listened to the what did you say, Grand Sage on the desk.
Yeah, the sage advice on desk to take a timeout after that
I
round.
think that was like I said that before what we just saw from Fisher Navy, but especially after what we saw from Fisher Navy. Like just such an outbrain outplay, and they almost took that page right from SCC's playbook. We would look back to how Fair would take main space and then ult back in, right? Or how we would see Instinct like playing off to like refight it immediately as well. Like that was like, hey, we took your strat and did it better kind of thing. And 11-7 got some ults. This is your last buy again before a save round. Also, if you lose this round, Fisher College has a lot of money to work with, and they'll be re-entering their next ult cycle here. This is the best time to take a timeout.
But what are you talking about right now if you're SCC?
Ooh. I don't know. I feel like okay, that round was different than what they were doing like previously because it was an eco, right? I think their split plays were working. I kind of want them to do what Fisher was doing, which was try to take deep space after you get site control.
Really?
Right? Like you have your Rolling Thunder. Try to maybe like do a little split B, which is what they're kind of I was gonna say maybe priming up for. Are they using Teo for a fake on the B site? I think that's what they're doing, and then they're going A here. And the stack is like 4 strong on B, so this is like Fisher trying to like have a big brain adaptation to that timeout and failing. Okay. How fast do they rotate's the question.
I'm also wondering if we're gonna get a Valorant timing here on the flank happening with the taking the
no.
ropes. Uh-oh. Yep.
Such is
They were looking at it, and it didn't matter.
Yep.
Reaction time from Omiji, superior. Delivered. Talk about the speed of the rotation. Well, it's not speed of the rotation. It's like the mind meld between breaches. Simultaneous. Rolling Thunders neutralize the impact of each other. And it will go down, but this is where the Steel Garden from Fisher Navy. There it goes.
Yep. I think Blast has been a pivotal mid-round player, but Fair is doing a fabulous job standing their ground. Takes down 2 before they themselves fall to Blast. And now with the what is line of sight set up here on this objective, we have Chillin headshot 1 while disengaging and leaving the other for Instinct to clean up. It is just going to be Blast who's on the objective right now. They know exactly where Blast has to be. We're going to hit the gravity well, pull them off, drop the percuss, 30 health, and the Instinct comes through.
Wow.
Spicy.
And again, I mean, that's their 12th, but I don't think, okay, like, I don't know if this was said during the timeout. Like, that's the thing, is like, coach, like, philosophies are so different. It's like, okay, is it small mistakes that they're saying they need to clean up? Is like a strat that they're pulling out? But if the strat was for Tilla to sell a fake over towards the east side, I think it worked, right? It kept the players there long enough so that they didn't have much kind of like fight there towards dish or towards main, so that they could pop out. I think it was just also unfortunate because Blast was playing for the retake as well, so they didn't like find anything there. And the Rolling Thunders, just the timing was insane.
Yikes! Cuz is getting the Valorant experience. We have a 1-for-1 trade. Sogo, Fair, falling. Cuz going to the aftershock. That was ouch. There are very few occasions where I feel like Valorant becomes overstimulating, but if you're a duelist player, I feel like it's a regular occurrence, and my heart goes out to you. As we have some people lurking up, slowly going for a rotation from the defense, but it is an opposite location of where the rest of the spearhead from SEC is coming from.
I mean, bro, the Rays, like, movements, like, have, like, been, like, perfectly overlapping, like, this entire map. Like, it's insane to see as our first Rays map of the series as well. And, alright, here we go. SCC, the 4v3. Taking a lot of arcade space, and as a result, like, as soon as that space is taken, right, the players for Fisher know they can start continuing to scale through spawn.
I know it's
Please
scary, though.
clear your left side. You think you know where they are because of the neural effect? Well, it'll become the second to stun. Alive and win.
My goodness!
And then look at Momiji. They got it salvo finished off Instinct. It's all down to Truth with 41 HP. Some util, like 1 flash and 1 stun. 20 seconds though, right? You don't have time to rotate to A.
Oh no, you gotta just stand your ground.
And what's really funny is, like, at this point, it's probably not long until the guided salvos come online either.
For sure, which means we have to get in on side. Ouch! Don't matter, Momiji's there and watching you.
Yeah. 12 day. I thought that was gonna become the beginning of the end, right? And like, if they just like ulted from safety instead of being visible from A main, very different outcome there, right? It spots out the 2 players. I also don't. So did they take this space and then rope across? Because if you saw, there was still a trapwire A main.
Yeah,
so I don't know if the trapwire, like, they jumped over it, it was too low, or if they took the rope. But either way, that position not accounted for, not even in the realm of possibility.
I think this time it'll be fixed for sure, so that that doesn't end up happening twice, but we'll have to wait and see. Momiji is the person I'm wanting to keep an eye on for at Fisher College right now. They have been a powerhouse. Like, they have their misplays, but when they come online, speaking of the Rays crossing paths time and time again, Cuz getting 2 and then a follow-up, getting a third coming out from the breach, taking down Artejo, and now we're going to immediately go for the reflag, but no one's there because they've all been taken down.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I think the first successful time we've actually seen Fisher hold a main space. And I'm not gonna say it's because they didn't peek spawn, but I think that's low-key why. Right? They held the deeper sidelines, the deeper space, they tucked away in the rat corner, which sometimes is what you need. But this was interesting, right? Now that they took that space, now that they won that duel, they kind of followed through and took spawn space. So Spike was never dropped. The players through Dish got that space. So now I'm gonna like this. This is gonna be a bait. You tap the Spike, the players here in spawn are gonna start re-clearing a main. And I don't think they're gonna clear this corner.
If that is exactly what comes to fruition here for Instinct, that's huge.
But they
Oh,
missed the
but I
shot!
think Instinct panicked! The 1 in 1/4 chance that it goes awry with your first bullet comes through. That is tragic. Hey, looking good.
Oh, like, and look how low HP the second, like, was. Like, Quinn was 1 HP. It should have been a 2 deal. And now it's Truth, right, into 1v4. Well, Util trying to win out the fight, but Cuz good for 4. Talked about the exhaustion these players must be feeling. At this point, if you've played all day and you come away with nothing, no qualification spot to May Madness, it was for naught. And so at this point, Fisher College pulling out everything they can. Cuz as well, trying to pull this team towards the finish line. 3 rounds to go for overtime.
All right, but if you're St. Clair, I feel like that this is almost no sweat for you. I say that because you still have a 3-round lead. You can still play for overtime. And last chance qualifier has been your bread and butter in the past. This would just be a pleasant surprise for you if you're able to not have to be in that situation yet again. So there's a lot of things that they are already used to, so now play that to your advantage. You're used to being under the wire, under the pressure. Let's see if you can feed off of that in the best way possible.
Setting champs fair, good for the first kill. Shows off where to neutralize the impact, but it's a Rosa ult! Fortunately, Truth has their back. We talked about your initiator-duelist relations. Oh my god, I was gonna say it's worth it though. Instinct baiting their teammate, chilling, thinking they could get away. And it's the beginning of the end. 1v3, Momiji, Trapwire holding them. They have sightline on the Instinct. And they don't win out the duel. 13-9, 2-1 victory. And SCC, your defending champions, the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup, will be returning to May Madness